Okay, can you hear me? Hello out there. Hello world. Hello moon. Hello sun. Hello earth. It's nice to see you. Okay. I know we are early. We are live early. 5 o'clock again. What is going on? It's another early week. It's true. But things keep happening that I want to talk about while I have totally unrelated panels planned. So I don't know if you guys heard, but the leader of Hamas, Sinwar, Yahya Sinwar, was killed while he tried to run away to Egypt. He was fleeing to Egypt with a bag of cash and some passports, some IDs, fake IDs, and some newbie, some IDF newbie, fresh out of basic, saw him and got him. Hey, Parallax with the 22-month subscription. Thank you. Got 360 no-scopes by a 19-year-old fresh out of basic is crazy. True. Shoeboot says, hopefully today's panel isn't, planned panel isn't, will the leaders of Hamas ever be gone? I think there's only one left. I think only Sinwar's brother is the only one that's remaining. I think every other leader, person with a position of leadership, high up leadership in Hamas is just gone. Yes, Temperate Squill, we have confirmation on that. Their New York Times has released confirmation that it was Sinwar that was killed. It's been confirmed. They've done the DNA testing. Yes, it is officially confirmed that Sinwar is now dead. He was, again, one of the people who orchestrated the October 7th attacks and the massacre of the Israeli people. So there's still some details coming out. So initially it was reported that there was a UNRWA teacher that was his bodyguard that was with him, but now it's looking like it was just one of his IDs, one of his fake IDs he was fleeing with, was of a UNRWA teacher, right? So we're going to get some reports. It's going to keep going. The only things we know for certain now is that, yes, he's dead. He's officially been killed. Thank you for the Parallax for the gift sub to Ice Beans. I hope Ice Beans is doing good. Dylan Bowser says, am I going to get banned on social media if I express satisfaction or indifference to this information? I don't think so. To be clear, I think this has been my position on celebrating death. It's probably unwise to celebrate death. However, I get it. I understand. I'm not gonna be here poo-pooing you, right? Too much. And to be clear, there's a lot of people with a lot of different reactions to this that we can look at and that we're going to look at today. Western pro-Palestinian people, right? The pro-Palestine protesters at the college campuses and things, the Jackson Hinkles of the world, if you will, are out there calling Sinwar a martyr, that he died a fighter on the front lines. They're trying to propagandize this pretty damn hard, that he was killed fighting the Zionist entity, right? That he was taken doing what he loved, trying to fight against Zion or whatever. They're propagandizing it pretty goddamn hard. They're pushing it. I see it all over my timeline on Twitter, right? We can look at some of this. Hold on. Give me a second. Let's look at some of this because I think it's important to see. Here we go. Stuff like Sinwar died in the best way possible, fighting until the end for a righteous cause. That's far more than most people get. The fight doesn't end with him. It's propaganda. We understand that, correct? I hope we do. But there's tons of this out there of a lot of the Western, the college campus guys, the whitest people you ever fucking met, right? All being like, oh man, Sinwar was a hero, ooh, dear leader, we will always remember you. Oh, keep fighting, Palestinians, go take your revenge for his martyrdom, go put yourselves in harm's way. There's a ton of that out right now. Let's look at what some actual Palestinians have to say. People who live in Palestine currently, who are there and dealing with the brunt of all this. This is according to the New York Times. And this is speaking of Sinwar. He humiliated us, started the war, scattered us, and made us displaced, without water, food, or money, Muhammad said, speaking on condition of anonymity for fear of reprisals from Hamas members. He is the one who made Israel do this. The news of Mr. Sinwar's death, he said, marked the best day of my life. Keep going. I wish he rots in hell. He is responsible for all this destruction, said Fadia, a 42-year-old teacher from Jabalia, who didn't want her last name published for fear of retribution from Hamas. I am actually relieved he is gone. This should mean the war is coming to an end now, I hope. Do we see the difference? And I hope we do. About the people who are actually being affected by this. Not the people who are being affected by this in the sense that they are doom scrolling on social media or they have big feels about what's happening over there. I talk to the people where the bombs are literally dropping on them, right? The people who are actually in the firing line. They fucking hate Sinwar. They hope you read it. We saw it. They hope he rots in hell, right? That's them. That's the Palestinians saying that. Now, they can't say it too loud because Hamas will kill them. But that's what they're saying. The people who are on their couch, right? Or sitting in their computer chairs or on their phone at the Starbucks sipping their lattes, tweeting about Palestine, wearing their keffiyehs, right, as they go to their next protest in a Western college campus, they're the ones egging Palestinians on to rah, 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 go Sinwar, go martyr yourself for Islam and the cause, right? Martyr yourself to free Palestine. Go get yourself killed to free Palestine. They're paying no cost for this, and they're encouraging other people to get killed. And they are trying to martyrize, trying to make a martyr out of Sinwar, right? Jackson Hinkle's, Syrian girls, all these people, right? They're trying to put him on a pedestal and memorialize him as this brave resistance fighter. This is a difference in attitude, and it's a severe difference in attitude. And I think it represents what I consider a pernicious level of privilege, right? A pernicious level of privilege from people who just want to see their fucking ideology succeed, and they don't care how many people have to die to do it, right? They really don't. I'm struggling to get this out because I think I want you to understand, dear viewer, because you need to understand. It's important that you understand that a lot, not all of them, but a lot of the pro-Palestine people in the West, they want Palestinians to die. They want that. They don't care. They want it to happen, just like Hamas wants it to happen. And for the same reason, because they can use it as a weapon against Israel. Every new dead body, they cheer because they know that they can post on social media about how, oh, look how evil Israel is, and they can shed their fucking crocodile tears. And oh, look how evil Israel is. Look how evil those Jews, Zionists are. You should really do something about them. They cheer. They cheer when this happens. I'm not being facetious. I'm not kidding. This is what happens. This is what they're doing. This is the fucking plan. They want to use the death of these people in their fucking Twitter arguments to score points. And thank you, Principles Before Politics, for the 16-month subbed. OF, I always forget I'm auto subbed. Well, thank you for the sub. I really appreciate you. I do. Joker Bias says, yeah, but I'm pretty sure they want Israelis to die more. Yes, that's true. But they don't care who has to die for that to happen, right? Ghosty says those brave Starbucks warriors. Pretty much. Pretty much. The people who are suffering right now, the Palestinians, hate this man. And this is why I give no credence to the people who say, oh, Palestinians are to blame for this too. They are, in many ways, the first victim of Hamas. They are bearing the brunt of this. Hamas has victimized them just as much as they have Israel. They too are suffering because of Hamas's actions. And thank God they blame Hamas for it. They can't do it too loud because they will be killed, right? But they do. Shoeboots says, while I take great exception to Israel's conduct over the past year, this is, of course, great news for the entire region. It is. And you're correct. Israel has not been honest actors in this. Israel's not the good guys here, right? But Sinwar, here's my hope, and this is just a hope, to be clear, right? Because I don't have a crystal ball. I can't prognosticate on what will happen, right? But here's what I hope. Here's what I hope happens. I hope that Sinwar's death, I hope it facilitates the release of the hostages, right? The rest of the hostages, that there's a deal that comes out, or that it makes it harder for the Hamas rank and file to hide the rest of the hostages, and so that we can get those back. And then we can end the war in Gaza. We'll still have Iran and Lebanon to deal with, but that is the hope, that Sinwar's death can be kind of a turning point. And I think there's some evidence that could occur, right? There's some evidence to say that can occur. Let's look at a piece of that evidence now, okay? This is the State Department, okay? And it's Matthew Miller. We're going to see what he has to say on the issue.
It does not include changes.
So here's the difference. Over the past few weeks, there have been no negotiations for an end to the war because Sinwar has refused to negotiate. There's been no path to ending this war because Sinwar has refused to talk about releasing the hostages or coming to a ceasefire. We now see an opportunity with him being removed from the battlefield, being removed from the leadership of Hamas, and we want to seize that opportunity.
That's good, right? Again, according to the U.S. State Department, Matthew Miller, right? If this is accurate, Sinwar was an obstacle to any negotiation. He's not an obstacle no more, kings and queens. He's not an obstacle no more. Hopefully, and look, unfortunately, I don't know, right? But my optimistic side hopes that this can be the start of something, right? That we can get somewhere now. We'll see. There's a lot of people, right? Because here's the thing. The other, like, almost all of Hamas's leadership is dead now. Almost all of it. I think the only top guy that's still alive is Sinwar's brother. I'm pretty sure. Can anyone correct me on that? If anyone has information that that's not the case, please. Oh, Solemn Argus, member for 12 months, pimping my 1-year badge. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Nice to have you. Nice to have you. Nice to have you. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure the only remaining leader of Hamas is, and I forget his name, Sinwar's brother. Now, with that out of the way, the only other obstacle in the path to peace is the hostages. And Cenk Uygur, sorry, he said something pretty stupid, but I think it's worth I think it's worth looking at. Okay, let me get to it. Boom, boom. Now that Yahya Sinwar has been killed, am I saying that right? I think I am. All of the Hamas leaders who carried out October 7th are dead. He's wrong here. There's one left. Hamas is obliterated, so there is no conceivable reason for Israel to continue the operations in Gaza. If they do, you'll know this was never about self-defense. It was about land. Well, no, that's incorrect. The other reason, and I can conceive of it pretty quickly and pretty easily, to continue operations in Gaza is to rescue the remaining hostages. And that is a fairly good reason. So I think that this is premature. Had they rescued all the hostages and done this, then I think he has a much stronger point, right? He has a much stronger point. But while there are hostages potentially still alive in Gaza in Hamas custody, I think that there's a valid reason and a valid argument to continue the operations until we can rescue them and get them home. A lot of people also, here, let me switch screens while I try to find it for you. A lot of people also, our favorite couch puncher here, okay, will say stupid shit like this. If it's true that the leader of Hamas, Sinwar, has been killed, I hope that the Biden-Harris administration will use it as a time to declare victory and end the war. With the mastermind of October 7th killed, Hamas leadership has been extirpated. Ceasefire and hostage deal now. The Biden-Harris administration. Do we understand that Israel is not America? We have treaties. There's influence. But the president of Israel, such as he is Netanyahu. Like, he sometimes listens to the U.S. We can sometimes influence him. But they do understand that neither Biden nor Harris nor really Trump, anyone, there's no American politician that can end this war. It has to be Israel. Israel and Hamas that have to do it. We can try to influence them one way or the other. But I think that people forget Biden is not the president of Israel. Crazy, I know. Hamas, right? Or I'm sorry, Harris. What a slip of the tongue here. Okay, but Harris isn't the president of Israel either, or the vice president of Israel. Neither of those people have the power to declare victory and end the war. They can, as their State Department is doing, trying to use this to push for an end to the war. But Netanyahu and the Knesset are the only ones that can really do this. And I think that there's this fundamental misunderstanding, like this fundamental ignorance of how this works, right? They've been feeding on the propaganda, okay? They've been gorging on it. The propaganda that the U.S. or that Israel is a proxy for the U.S. Or if they're extra special anti-Semitic, they say that U.S. is a proxy of Israel, and that Israel owns the U.S. and operates it as they will, right? But most people, right, think that, like, most of those types, I should say, think that Israel is just like kind of a client state of ours, like a puppet state. And it's not. We have treaties with them. We do a lot of trade with them, but they're not beholden to us. Testy Johnson says it should be, though. Which one? RPG says you're being way too reasonable about this. Biden has nukes. He can do what the fuck he wants. What do you think Biden's going to use a nuclear weapon in this conflict? That there is any chance that there is any scenario in which Biden, right, uses a nuke in this region? Are we being serious right now, or are we trolling? Is this a troll? I can't tell. Sulak, nice to see you. I just don't. Again, like, there is a connection between Israel and the U.S. Yes, it exists. We have treaties. We have trade. We influence one another. That is true. But we are not a puppet state of Israel, and Israel is not a puppet state of the U.S. Netanyahu has refused to work with us before, and he probably will again. So again, like, if you are trying to blame Biden or Harris on any of this, it's not on them. Dylan Bowser says that bait was so low quality that I got salmonella. Conservative liberalism says, beholden, no, but what happens if we leverage our direct military support? This isn't crazy talk. Biden held out one shipment of 2-ton bombs and people flipped out. So do I think that if today we snapped our fingers and said no more arms, no more military supplies at all to Israel, would that influence Israel? Possibly. Would that end the war? No. Like, our commitment to Israel, the amount of stuff that they get from us is not even 20%. It's like 14%, 16%, something like that, which is a sizable amount. But that isn't end the war if it stops kind of thing. It's not. Cowboy subs, thank you for the subscription for 5 months. Nice to see you. Tessie Johnson says, wait, if you decrease the amount of weapons, it wouldn't end a war sooner. How much of their weapons a month do you, like, percentage-wise, do you think that Israel is using in this conflict? Very little. It is making more than it is currently using. The Iron Dome might be the exception. But when it comes to normal munitions, bombs, bullets, etc., they are not using all that much. Yeah, like I said, the Iron Dome might be the exception. It is a pretty huge exception. True. But when it comes to prosecuting the war, like, here's the deal. If you say, hey, your Iron Dome, your defensive shield munitions are now limited and going to run out in a month, Israel has a couple options. They can say, well, damn, we'd better try to get a ceasefire within a month and and really hope that these people don't attack us again. Or, oh shit, we're not going to have any way to defend ourselves in a month? Better make sure there's nothing to defend ourselves against. Better make sure that there's no one left to fire a rocket. And all that shit about a genocide that people have been screaming about actually fucking happens. So Yeah, I don't know about that, Chief. They're cutting off their security. I don't know about that, Chief, but I mean, it's possible. Let's see what else has been going on. But yeah, for those of you who are just arriving, Sinwar is now Sinwas, the leader of Hamas, the one who was one of the people responsible for orchestrating, planning, and carrying out the October 7th attacks against Israel, is no longer with us. He is no longer alive. An IDF soldier got him, a grunt, a dude out of basic training, been in the IDF for about 9 months. Okay, hell, it may have been one of those streamers that people screamed about, like, oh, if you love Israel so much, why don't you go to Israel and fight for them? It might be one of those guys that went over there, right? Can you imagine it? One of those fucking streamers being the one that got Sinwar, being like, I'm just picturing it in my head, like opening up on the stream. Yo, guess what? Yo, Frogan, when you told me that if I loved Israel so much I should go try to for him, look what I did. I got Sinwar. Yeah, that's amazing. It's amazing. Oh, was it Ethan Klein's wife? Maybe. Like, oh God. Oh. Some 19-year-old IDF grittying it up on his corpse on TikTok live. Oh God. Look. I don't know if this will be the end of the war. I don't know if this will be even a turning point. But there's a possibility it can be. There's a possibility it can be. There is. Like Netanyahu, what does he? And I don't know if any Palestinian trusts this man, but Netanyahu released a statement. Let's read it. Let's see if we can find it. Man, there's a lot of people talking about it. Oh man, but there was a statement that he released, and I want to get to it so I can read it for you. I don't want to paraphrase it because it's what he is saying is important. Give me 1 second. I'm looking for it. Please bear with me. Kings and queens, please bear with me. Look at it. Okay, look at this motherfucker. This Jackson Hinkle motherfucker. Okay, trying to propagandize the shit out of this. Look at this fuck. He was born in a refugee camp. He fought the Zionist entity until his last breath. And he's trying to make him, they're trying to make a martyr out of this guy. Polar Knights, thank you for the sub to Sanabi. Thank you for the gift sub. I really appreciate you. We're going to talk about Hassan in a minute here. Because Hassan, Ethan's stuff has been heating up, and I want to go over that a little bit before my panel today. But I'm trying to find the, man. I'm trying to find the statement that Netanyahu made, where basically he's offering amnesty to any Hamas member who gives up the hostage. Like, if you bring a hostage back and lay down your weapon, they'll let you go. Full amnesty. I'm trying to find that announcement. I saw it on Twitter. Man, I got a lot of stuff on Twitter. Hold on. Doop, 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 doop. Ah, man, I can't find it. If someone can find it, please link it to me. But no, absolutely. And I wish I had this so I could link it to you and I could read it to you. But basically, that's it. There's an amnesty offered to any Hamas member. And this is from Netanyahu, of all people, Netanyahu, saying if you give if you give up a hostage and lay down your arms, we'll let you go. You'll get to live, and you'll be let go, and you'll get amnesty. That's a good signal. That's a good signal. Okay, that's a good thing. Now again, I don't know if any Hamas member will trust the guy, but that's a separate problem almost, right? What are our thoughts? Oh, Polar Knight, thank you for a gift sub to free the hostages. Thank you. What are our thoughts? What are our thoughts, little chatters? My little friends. Do we think that this is an actual turning point? Do we think that this is going to be one of the stepping stones to the eventual end of the conflict? Or do we think that this is not going to affect the war in any meaningful sense? What do we think? Do we think this signals an end or the beginning of the end? Or do we think that it's war forever from here on out? RPG says there's no chance Hamas would trust him, and he knows he's just using it for optics. But optics is important. It matters. Tempered Skill says that's the problem. What Palestinian would trust him? Well, that is the problem. Polar Knights, thank you for another gift sub to fuck 'em all forever. I appreciate the gift sub, sir. Or ma'am. I don't know if Polar Knights is a sir or a ma'am, but thank you regardless for your gift sub. Solemn Argus says, I think it has the potential to be a turning point for sure. Depends on what Israel wants at this point. True. Shoeboot says, I'm hopeful for a turning point. My concern is that Bibi's hands have been forced by his party this entire time. If they still want the war, there's no reason to think anything will change. Well, it's the question. But what we see here, ladies and gentlemen, and what I want to stress is that there is a possibility, that there is a hope, and I hope, and I'm actively advocating for, okay, we've gotten Sinwar out of the way. Hamas leadership is devastated. You've killed almost all of them. Let's get the hostages and then get out. Get the hostages and get out. So that's the focus, right? That's what I think the focus should be. Polar Knight says, it is no hope in hell there will be peace. Look, I'm just looking for a temporary peace at this point, right? Something that can last a few years at least. Shoeboot says, get the hostages, get out, and then wait 15 years for the consequences of your actions. I mean, they got to get the hostages. They have to. They can't. Like, the Israeli people won't let them stop, right? And why would they, right? They need to get their brothers and sisters out of there. Will Hamas ever surrender? I don't know. I think the Lebanon thing gives Netanyahu the cover to keep fighting as long as he wants. Well, Lebanon and Iran are different issues. And I don't think that I see more of a chance to draw down in Gaza than I do with Lebanon right now. Okay. I think that Lebanon, I'm not as confident that they're in a spot that they can draw down in Lebanon as I am in Gaza, right? Corrent says they're kicking ass and chewing bubble gum. Bubble Jim. Well, I get what you mean. Bubble gum. Let's look to see. Give me a second. Let's look to see how some of our friends over in the other spots are taking this. Give me a second. Give me a second. You know what? No wonder. I wonder what Frogan has to say about all this. You guys want to hear what Frogan has to say about dead soldiers? You guys want to hear it?
I have no pity at all for any fucking soldiers.
No.
Distress, thank you so much. I will never have any fucking pity for any fucking soldiers. U.S. military? Boo fucking who? I hope you get PTSD.
Yeah? Do ya?
You know?
There's a lot of eating, not a lot of talking. Come on. I get you're hungry. But get it out.
I do the ones I'm like whatever about the U.S. soldiers are the ones that like acknowledge that like what they did was wrong. They didn't know back then. Whatever. You're a good person in my book. I'm like a Tom. Thank you so much for the 10 gifted. So the U.S. military that are like, yeah, like, you know, I did this back then, but now I know it's wrong. Like I'm changed. Like fuck imperialism. Fuck this. You don't deserve the PTSD. But like any other motherfucker, you're joining them. You're like, oh my god, I want my fucking Camaro, no student loans. Fuck you. I hope you get PTSD. And I hope you get no health insurance when you get back into fucking America.
What are we doing here, gang? These are the people that will call you a monster for not being sorry that Sinwar is dead. What are we doing here, gang? Who are these people? When I talk about people who sit in their comfy seats, chowing down, look at this, chowing down, just going down on whatever the fuck she's eating right now, okay? This is who I'm talking about, the people who are suffering no consequences. None. No consequences. All the while saying that they hate Americans, they hate soldiers, right? They wish bad things upon them. And she's only saying PTSD because she can't say what she really thinks because thoughts will get her, right? But she's wishing suffering on these people, okay? She's wishing suffering on these people. I wonder if she's going to cry about Sinwar. And look, like I said, I'm not here to celebrate. We're here to discuss the consequences, the ramifications, what it looks like in the future for the region, what effects it will have on the people of the region, what the people of the region want to think about it, right? How they think it will affect them. But there is a cadre of people who will just propagandize the shit out of this. Look, I'm not here to sell. Look, I'm not. If you guys want to see me celebrating something, I'll show you a party, okay? You haven't seen a party. Lesson Cell says, Wick, I am sorry. While that bitch keeps talking shit like this, Asmongold gets banned for saying one thing a bit unhinged. Twitch is so fucking stupid. Well, yeah, that's another issue, right? Did you guys see Ethan Klein did a stream on this recently? Let me see if I can find it. Hold on. Or let me see if I can find some of the clips from it. I'm pretty sure I can. Boom, boom, boom. But Hassan, Ethan Klein. Well, let's see what Ethan Klein has to say. Let's listen to him.
And again,
this was a stream from yesterday, I believe. What's his thoughts on all of this? Cowboy says that's worse than what Asmongold said. Yes. Yes. No, hold on. I want to direct everyone's attention to this because yes, what Frogan just said, what we just heard her say, is worse by a large margin. She's not saying, I don't care what happens to soldiers. She's saying, I actively want bad things to happen to them. And that is worse. Worse. We understand this, right? Oh, the double standard, gang. Sickening. Let's see what Ethan has to say.
And again, part of the irony of this whole thing is that on the left, they're basically willing to undermine everything they believe in. I guess at the behest of going after Zionists, because they see Zionists as subhuman, they see them as Nazis. They've given each other permission and consent and the green light to essentially target whoever they perceive as Zionists with whatever abuse they deem necessary, because they're Nazis and they're killing children and innocent people in Gaza. That is my problem. Anyway, I responded to this tweet telling me to kill myself with 90,000 likes. I said deranged shit telling me to kill myself with 36,000 likes at the time, 36. What exactly as I said or did? Nobody has ever been able to tell me.
And they aren't, right? Like, we can tell you, right? What did you do, Ethan? Here, listen up, Ethan. Ethan, if you, on the microscopic off chance you hear me rant about this, okay? Well, listen up. Come here, buddy. Let me tell you like it is. Let me drop some wick truth bombs on you, buddy. What did you do? You had the gall to disagree with them. You had the gall to publicly and loudly have a difference in opinion on them. You had the chutzpah to think that Jewish people are people, even when they're Zionists, even when they're Israelis, that they're still people, and they will never forgive you for this. They will never forgive you. And that's sad. I know that a lot of these people were your friends. I get it. It hurts. It sucks. But that's what you did. You refused to give in and bend the knee. You refused to give in to their crazy. You refused to dehumanize an entire group of people, and they will never forgive you for it. Brewcrow says Twitch is up and coming streamer for 2 years in a row. Won't see a ban though. Yeah, I mean, we know this. This is old news. Polar Knights, thank you. Thank you for the gifts up to Asmongold. Really appreciate you. Yeah, I feel bad. Cowboy says, I feel bad for Ethan because his own community is mad at him now. Well, yes, he courted this type of person, and he didn't understand the type of person. Right? I really do believe this, that he did not understand the type of person he was courting when he was going on Hassan streams and kind of embedding himself with that community. He thought like, oh, they're people who have leftist values and they will stick to those values. But he didn't understand that that's not the type of leftists these people are. The type of leftists that these people are the type that uses their ideology to punish those that they deem as bad people, to dehumanize those that they deem as bad people. They want to punish, to hurt, to destroy. That's what they want. And they want to feel moral doing it. They're giddy. They have glee when they find someone that they can tell to kill themselves. They do it with such relish, such love. They love it. They love it. They want to cause as much pain and suffering to people that they deem as evil as they possibly can. A lot of them do it because they feel like they've been done wrong by society. That society has oppressed them. that they've been done wrong, that they've suffered, and they want to see others suffer just as much, if not more. It's cathartic for them, right? This is the type of leftist, the non-principled kind, right? The people who will change their principles just so that they can target groups or individuals. And I think that the biggest example, the clearest example of this is the October 7th fracture and how they decided that now we can finally target those Jews. They call them Zionists, but let's be real. The bad Jews. There's an old joke. Let me tell you the joke. You guys want to hear a joke? It's a funny joke. You have a Zionist Jew and a non-Zionist Jew walk into the bar, okay? Bartender looks at him and says, "We don't serve Jews here." Haha, funny. Funny, right? But it is a joke, right? You understand the joke, the humor? That regardless, Zionist Jew, non-Zionist Jew, you're just a Jew to a lot of these people. They don't care. And they might make an exception if you will agree with them on every little thing. They might say, "You're one of the good ones. You're one of my friends," right? It's not like those other Jews who disagree with me. No, those are the ones we want to literally impale and put to the sword and slaughter. And they will never catch a ban for saying any of this. They will never catch any moderation for saying any of this. Oh, here, let's see if I can find another clip here, because I was looking for this earlier. Yeah, I know. I should be more prepared. Give me a second. Let me find it. Give me a second, gang. Come on. He had the clip I'm trying to find, he had his buddy on, his friend. Hassan did, okay? And they were basically mocking Ethan for being upset about what they said about his wife, right? I want to find that clip because I think it's indicative that they just don't fucking... Oh, here it is. Okay, great. We found it. They just don't care.
He's like, "Oh, you want to make it so Israel isn't a Jewish homeland? Where is my wife who lives with me in Beverly Hills in California? Where's she gonna go? In the garbage? In the toilet? Do you just want to kill her?
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe she's gonna go where she is now, which is not Israel."
Yeah, this is...
That's kind of fucking crazy. Do we do understand this, right? Like, they believe in a very real way that the Jewish people that have been born, raised in Israel, they all have somewhere to go. So while, yes, Ethan Klein's wife might be fine, her family, I don't know. Her family that still lives in Israel, will they be fine? What about those other people who were born and raised in Israel? Where are they going to go? They have this belief that all these Jews just have somewhere else that they can go to, right? So they're okay with it. Imagine for a moment, if someone said that about a Palestinian American, right? Right? If a Palestinian American who had family in Palestine was like, "Yo, hey, I got some family in Palestine. I'm really worried about the region." And someone's like, "Oh, fuck you. You're living in your Beverly Hills mansion, right? Who cares?" These people would be all over that, right? They would be all over that. They would call them racist, Islamophobic, vile stuff, right? There is no principles that these people have. We understand that, right? But good news, gang. Good news. We're winning. Don't let them tell you otherwise. People, the sane people in this are winning. Sinwar, gone. Hamas leadership, gone. Hezbollah leadership, gone. There is real chances for peace now that there wasn't while these people existed. We haven't won yet. Haven't won yet. Still more to do. Lesson Cell says, I know this might be stupid to suggest. Most likely not true. Okay, I'm going to pause before I read the rest of this. If you know it might be stupid to suggest, and it's probably not true, you see where I'm going with this? Okay, fair enough. Let's keep reading. But what are the chances that the reason his people don't get banned is because Dan Clancy just doesn't like Jews much? I have no idea. I have no idea. I think that for whatever reason, they give preferential treatment to Hassan and people who think like Hassan. And you can draw any conclusion you'd like from that. But I think it's clear from behavior that Hassan and his ilk can say and do things that I simply cannot. They can target individuals for harassment. They can target groups for dehumanization. No one else can. Wick, you gotta stop dead naming Jenk's nephew. It's so offensive. Jenk's nephew's Hassan, isn't it? How am I dead naming him? What are you talking about? Tessie Johnson says, yeah, but you don't want them banned? True, but I want the standard that they get, the privileges that they get, I want them that extended to everyone. I want the same consideration that Hassan gets to be given to everyone. I would love that. That would be great. You want Twitch to be like your Discord? Look. I love my Discord. It causes me issues, but I love my Discord, okay? I hate my Discord and I love it at the same time. If you're not in my Discord, you're missing out. Honestly. It's the Wild West of places. It's got some moderation. Don't get me wrong. But you're free to speak your mind overall. Okay? Free to speak your mind. Conservative liberalism says your Discord is the best Discord. I don't say that. It's what people tell me. Yeah? I don't believe you, to be clear. But thank you. Omar is saying Hassan being a Muslim makes him a target. No one. What? Who's okay? I'm not saying it's never happened. I'm sure it has. But Hassan isn't a target, right? He's the one doing the targeting. He's the one that targets others. He's the one that has a community that has harassed and tried to destroy Ethan Klein, okay? Consistently and constantly. Again, as we saw in that clip, they make posts about Ethan Klein and wanting him to die, to be killed. That's Hassan's community. That's who they are. Okay. And the things that I've seen them post about his wife, crazy. Crazy. These people are not good people. They're insane. Yeah, Omar, you got banned for saying the N-word. You can't say the N-word in my Discord. Sorry. Polar Knight says Hassan being a dick make him a target. Well, I mean, sure, but is that being a target? If you go out there and you say, I think America deserved 9/11, are you being targeted when people get mad at you for that? I guess technically, perhaps. But again, you can say vile stuff about groups that Hassan doesn't like. Can't say that about groups that Hassan likes. The double standard, and it's a problem. Sinwar is now Sinwas. Hooray. Good. I think that now we have a path open to peace. Hamas has... At what point is it okay to say Hamas has just lost this war? At what point is it okay to say that Israel won the Gaza war? Looks like they have. They've destroyed Hamas is barely functioning. Hamas's leadership is gone. That looks like Israel just won that one. Looks like Israel just straight up won. Kings and queens. Even in Hezbollah, let's look up in Hezbollah, right? Hezbollah leadership gone. Many of its rank and file wounded forever, permanently wounded, missing limbs, missing eyes, unable to fight, unable to participate. At what point do we get to say Israel won that one too? You might not like it. That's fair. That's pretty clear. Look at it this way. If all of Israel, if the Knesset had been killed, if all of the Knesset has been killed and all the top generals of the IDF died, it would be hard to argue that Hamas hadn't won, right? No one would be saying, oh, Israel's winning. No, they just got their whole government collapsed. Their administration collapsed. Their military leadership gone. Yeah, everyone would say that Israel lost and lost badly. I think we can safely say at this point that's true for Hamas. Hamas is done. At least in its ability to wage an effective war against Israel, at least for the foreseeable future. The one thing that they still have is some hostages, and we got to fix that. But we'll get there. Hopefully. Fingers crossed. Let me bring on some of my guests for the 6 o'clock show. Fate says done until the next head pops up. I mean, yeah. Like, again, I'm not a prognosticator. I don't have a crystal ball. I can't tell you what the future will bring. But I'm hopeful, cross your fingers, that this is a turning point. quick. Give me a second. Showtime, boys and girls. It's showtime. Let's bring in the guests. Hello.
Hello.
You're live, kings and queens.
I was just about to ask.
Yeah, give me a second. I was talking about all the stuff that's been happening recently with the Israel-Palestine conflict, right? Oh man. Don't click join voice.
Heard.
We have a couple more that should be here. Hopefully sometime
yeah,
soon.
you know, it's so interesting we're talking about all this stuff today because, I found out why my fiber optic went out, and it's really entertaining. It was on the news this morning because an illegal alien running from the Border Patrol hit the fiber optic cables box in my neighborhood and took it out. So, yeah, there's a problem down here.
Okay.
I wish you could have heard the conversation we just had. It was, mwah.
Was it?
Yeah, Admiral Gibbs made me smile pretty good.
We got the.
Well, I'm
the
glad
Empire
you're
Crest
smiling,
and everything.
Drazi. I'm glad you're
It
smiling.
was pretty good.
Oh man. Any other thoughts on things unrelated to the panel we're about to have?
I think that MAGA is fucking insane.
He said unrelated.
That's unrelated. We're having a panel about Kamala Harris having a Republican in there as her cabinet.
I don't know how to make that fit. I don't know.
Well, I'm glad you have your internet back. I guess I'll just ask directly. Do you think that do you all think, what are your thoughts? Sinwar's death, do we think that it signals an end to the war, or do we think that this is just another event that's just going to be a forever war, that this won't really have an effect?
I think it's just gonna be the next phase. I mean, I feel like they're wrapping up with Hamas. They might switch over to going after the specific hostages so much instead of the leadership. Which that may or may not mean war bloody. I mean, they might be able to negotiate with the Hamas leadership in Qatar, but at the same time, it looks like what's this guy's Nawar's brother is the guy that's in charge of the day-to-day military operations with Hamas. So who knows? That might make him more zealot-like. I'm not real sure, but I mean, it looks like they're definitely going to be cranking up gears with Hezbollah and Iran anyway. So maybe they're like closing one front, moving to the next ones.
Okay. What are your thoughts, Elder Drazi? Any thoughts? I'm killing time till we get our last guest here. So.
It doesn't really seem like this is the kind of thing that hinges on a single person.
Okay.
I kind of agree with Admiral Gibbs. It just seems like if it was that easy, probably some people could have made that happen a little bit quicker. If we're just talking about taking out one guy, I don't know. It seems like
well,
like I'm
to
not
be clear,
super invested in the whole conflict, but
yeah, no, I get you.
Go ahead though. You
Yeah,
had a counterpoint.
Well, he is the latest. In fact, in the Hamas leadership, as far as I'm aware, there is only one left, and that's Sinwar's brother, right? But everyone else that was a leader in Hamas is now gone. So eventually,
In Gaza,
it's like
that was in
Jenga,
Gaza.
right? You keep pulling out blocks, and eventually the tower falls. Hopefully.
Well, sometimes you get something worse.
Maybe.
How many times do we take out people with, what was it, Sadr? We had Sadr City back in Iraq, and then we ended up getting ISIS because of a lot of that. So, sometimes you empower somebody a lot worse than you took out. It's kind of like one of those areas where you should let shit fester. It gets, I don't know. I don't really know if there's a solution to this, at least for in the interim.
Principles, you got a mic on you, buddy?
Yeah. No,
Okay,
I just I have a hard audio mute so that I don't
No, it's
interrupt
good.
people by accident.
I'm checking to make sure we can hear you. And Liberal Cluck, do you have a camera for us today?
Yeah, but I can't turn it on because I just got the join voice button.
No, there should be a video button. It won't be the join voice
Oh,
button.
you know what? Actually, I did find it. Here we go.
Hopefully you can press it. Well, you haven't pressed it yet.
Yeah, I kept pressing join voice because I wanted to test my camera.
Yeah, no. We got your camera up. Staxiums, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great. Can you guys hear me?
So
doing
far,
good.
so good. Yeah. No, gang. It's time to start the show. I know we had a good pre-show with the Sinwar becoming Sinwas, but time to talk about some good old-fashioned domestic policy. Okay.
That's awesome.
Gang, welcome to yet another episode of WIC TV, cross-ideological space where we come together to talk about issues both political and cultural, from the silly to the serious. Recently, Kamala Harris has pledged to have a Republican in her cabinet, or at least within her government. And she has signaled quite strongly that she is willing to work with Republicans who support her and are willing to work with her. Let's talk about bipartisanship today, because a lot of people have expressed frustration with Kamala and her statements here. They have expressed frustration with, why would we work with people who don't want to work with us? Why would we try to reach out to people who don't believe the election was real and things like that? The question for tonight is, to what extent is bipartisanship important? And is Kamala Harris's cabinet idea or proposal the right way to go about this? We're going to give the ball first to Principals, and then we're going to go around and we're going to end with Admiral Gibbs. Principals, let's go. What do you think?
I'll try to keep the opening comments brief. I don't know that there's necessarily anything good or bad to say about Kamala saying that she wants to include a Republican in her cabinet. It seems like pretty standard electioneering from my perspective. It's, kind of Clintonian triangulation. I will say I think it's kind of silly to assume that any given political party is going to be particularly successful by appealing only to its own internal audience. We've already seen this. You were talking about Mike the Couch earlier tonight. And we know that there is a segment of what you might consider to be the Democratic Alliance that is openly and very willfully saying, no, we won't vote for you under any circumstances. So, you got to find support somewhere. And I think it's more important to look for places that you have commonalities with people than it is to strictly adhere to some kind of strange party orthodoxy that demands that everybody think the same way, and that it's impossible to find an ally across the aisle.
Well, thank you for being here. We'll get into it as we go. Thank you. Next up, we have Axioms. What are your thoughts?
Hello. So I think that reasonable people who want to keep things fairly conservative and reasonable people who want to accelerate things fairly liberally should be able to work together. However, all of the reasonable people who want to keep things fairly conservative identify as Democrats. Okay? There are no reasonable people in the Republican Party, at least on a political level, like in the maybe not voters, but certainly
The
politicians.
legislative level?
Yeah, the
Gotcha.
legislative.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, yeah, depending on, because this is probably going to be in her cabinet. So I don't know if this will be. Anyway, regardless, on a political level, if this gets her elected, I suppose I'll grin and bear it. But if it works on a political level, I will not criticize Harris, but instead the morons that this works on.
Okay, thanks for being here, Staxiums. Glad to see you.
Absolutely, glad to be here.
Next up, Liberal Cluck. Give us your
Yeah,
thoughts.
I don't particularly like the idea of a president getting into office and only surrounding themselves with yes men. That's some Trump MAGA shit. So I'm kind of glad that Harris is suggesting that she's going to have a Republican. I disagree with goodness gracious, what is your name? Oh, I can't see it. Oh, that guy who just went. That said
Hunter.
there is
Or
Hunter. Okay.
Staxiums, yeah.
Staxiums. I disagree with Staxiums that there's no reasonable Republicans. I'm probably going to disagree with Republicans on policy like 99% of the time, but there are Republicans out there who are out there speaking against Trump and speaking against MAGA and supporting Kamala Harris in this race. And I would say that that's at least it crosses a line of reasonability to where we should be trying to bring those people into the fold.
Okay, well, we'll get into it in the open, but thank you for being here.
Yep.
And we will get to as we go. Elder Drazi, what are your thoughts?
I think that it's probably the best idea that I've heard out of her so far. I think that bipartisanship is the most important thing that nobody's really working on, especially when it comes to the presidential race. If we want to bring Republicans over, we have to have a show of effort. We have to be willing to say, well, we're willing to listen to you when we do have power. Otherwise, like, do we want to keep doing this for another 20 years? Do we want to have tensions this high for forever and ever? This is a great way to start making things like that happen. And if Kamala doesn't win, we can point out that the other side doesn't seem like they're willing to do this, and it can kind of put pressure on Trump's party to hopefully do something similar. That's pretty much it. It just seems like the most obvious good thing that you could possibly do with the state the country's in politically.
Okay. Well, thank you for being here, Drazi. Nice to see you. We'll get into it in the open. Last but certainly not least, at least until the doghouse shows up at 7, Admiral Gibbs, whose power is now with us. Give us your thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, this has been very entertaining to listen to. I mean, they're talking about not having yes men here. I mean, listen, any Republican Kamala puts on there is not what they're going to call reasonable Republican. We know that y'all are going to try to frame it as, oh, all the Republicans are unreasonable except for whatever rhino that she puts on there. But that's exactly what they are. They're a rhino. They're a member of the Uniparty, as Alex Jones has coined the term. I hate to have to use Alex Jones here in a debate, but that's what it is. As for bipartisanship, Republicans have tried that. We've tried that many, many times. Just look at the board. Yeah, y'all can laugh all you want, but I actually have the evidence here today. We've said here we tried that on the border in 2016. We tried that with the border bill. We gave them everything the Dems wanted, plus the wall. And then what did they do? They spit in our face and said, oh, well, you didn't include the DACA people. Guess what? Then the next time it comes up, you know what? They didn't include the DACA people. So they just showed that they're disingenuous, dishonest Dems, and they're not willing to work with you even when you are being bipartisan. So I'm of the opinion that no, having a Republican in our party is not good because it's going to be a member of the Uniparty like Nikki Haley or some other basically Dixiecrat Democrat. That's what it's going to be.
Okay, and with that said, let's get into it. If you have trouble getting in, DM to me.
Fucking audacity.
Could I respond?
Bring up border bills?
I was just about to say that 100%. You went back 8 years instead of fucking 4 months ago or whenever the last bipartisan.
Oh, non-fun. Thank you for the raid. Appreciate it.
Fucking Republicans shot down.
Which Republicans? The Republicans that live on the border.
Donald Trump.
No, the ones on no, hold on. This is how clearly this is how bad TDS is. Let me tell you. TDS is this because when we did the original border bill, we said, oh, he came to y'all with everything, including DACA. His base revolted. He goes, okay, my base won't stand for this. This is everything I can give you, Dems. The only thing he didn't include was DACA. Same thing here. The same group of people that revolted then revolted again against this bipartisan bill created by rhinos. And guess what? It's the same group of people. So no, it's not disingenuous. No, it's not Donald Trump. It's just him going, hey, this is what my constituents want. Which is what you want in a leader, is them to listen to constituents. Except for, I guess, the Dems. They'll just say they're going to give the constituents something, and then they do something the opposite. Which is why people are swapping to the Republican Party.
This is a really fun hypothetical that exists.
No, it's not.
It's true. Unfortunately, Donald Trump told us
I have the bill right here.
He wanted to shut. No. You can have the bill there. That's 2018. No, we're talking about the one that was implemented. I think 3 months ago was too. I don't know. It was sometime this year.
Yeah, the shitty one. That's not as good as the one in 2018.
Just to be so clear that
okay, let Staxiums go for a bit. But go ahead,
okay,
Staxiums.
So, one, the Border Patrol approved of this bill, and two, this is all fun and games. But Donald Trump gave the reasoning as to why he wanted it shut down, and the reasoning as to why he wanted it shut down is because he wanted a catastrophe at the border so that people would blame Joe Biden. That's explicitly his reasoning.
What it is.
Do you believe that?
I could pull up some quotes.
It was already a catastrophe.
I mean,
wait, hold on.
Nobody gives a shit that about it to be a catastrophe.
Do you concede that this is the reason as to why Donald Trump shut down?
Absolutely not. That's why he wanted it in 20. Why did he want it in 2018? I don't concede it at all. I can understand what you want to say, but his constituency revolted against it then too because y'all didn't solve the issues.
Admiral, why don't you believe that that's what he said?
I don't give a shit what he said. I'm going to tell you why. Because his constituency, once again, had already revolted against this in mass because the border bill didn't do enough. There was no wall. There was not enough security. I mean, I know we don't want to dive into an immigration debate, but this is the whole thing: is that we've negotiated on several issues, and since the Bush, except maybe the last time we were able to negotiate with the Dems in good faith was probably Bush. Like that's how bad it is. It's been so bad. We haven't had anybody since Bush or Clinton that can negotiate because the Dems are dishonest.
Wait, hold on. Oh, okay. You can fill up. When Obama won, Mitch McConnell said that our number one priority is to make him a one-term president. So you're going to sit there and try and talk about how,
so liberal.
You're going to sit there and talk about that the Democrats aren't working with Republicans, but like that was like the start of the breakdown between bipartisanship was Mitch McConnell.
Because y'all chose somebody that was just a radical, basically.
I'd like to lead a little bipartisanship by example here. I think what Dollar General Hunter Avalon was trying to say here is that Trump said that he wanted it to be he wanted the border to be his position
It was.
to run
awesome.
this campaign on. When you said your name was Hunter, it fucked me right up.
That's fair.
I think that Trump said that he wanted to not have that bill passed because he wanted the border to be his main issue in this election. So I don't think we need to phrase it. I'm not sure if that was an exact quote. But the problem with that is that if he's denying a bill that does do a lot, that solves a lot of the issues that Republicans are talking about happening.
None of the Republicans that are on the border thought it solved any of the issues, and that's why we all revolted against it.
The border patrol.
What about you? Do you why didn't it solve any of the issues?
Okay.
Listen,
I just want to make. Hold on. Stop. The border bill debate is a great debate, but that's not the debate we're having tonight. I want to make sure that we're just using this as perhaps an example to the larger point of can bipartisanship work, and should parties be looking to be bipartisan in today's?
I can qualify my question.
Go ahead.
Sure. I'm asking that to see whether or not you're just disagreeing in bad faith or not. Because I think that you both know that this was a pretty fucking bipartisan bill.
I absolutely, actually, you and Witt can probably attest to this because he's had me on the panel, been multiple panels about the border bill. From day one, I have been massively against that bill, because it didn't solve any of the issues on the Republican side. This was before even Trump came out against it. I was against this bill. I've been adamantly against it from day one. So no, it doesn't. And this kind of brings me back to a lot of things.
I believe you.
Yeah, I mean that's fine. But like, I'm glad you do. I appreciate that. But like, when we come to bipartisanship overall, when I look at this, every single time Republicans try to reach out with an olive branch, it's kind of like you give a mouse a cookie. They're going to take a mile. And that's why I brought up this bill, because we brought up a more comprehensive bill in 2018. The Dems shut it down except for DACA. Then when they came back with this most recent one, they didn't even include DACA. So like, it's really just the pot calling the kettle black at this point. Like, it's so ironic that the same group of people that says we'd rather burn it all down than work with Republicans are the ones saying the Republicans are the unreasonable ones.
I think that public sentiment has gotten so dysfunctional around immigration that the Democrats recognize that they're not going to be able to fight for DACA in an immigration bill right now. That's the reason why they were willing to accept a immigration bill that was without it. Because back then,
why did they do that the first time?
Because DACA
when it could have stopped the Trump,
will you let me answer? Because DACA was really popular back then, and now it's just not.
Because it's proven that everything else was such a bigger crisis.
Okay.
Like
Immigration aside, let's. Okay.
Yeah, can I steer the conversation to the point at large?
Yes.
So I guess my question that I would have to Liberal Cluck, great name. What kind of Republicans would you consider being implemented into the cabinet, and what kind of benefit would they bring?
I mean, the answer is going to obviously be someone like a Liz Cheney. But yeah, I know. What's his face up there is laughing his ass off. And what benefit would he bring? What they bring is like within my personal I don't know, political journey. I find that oftentimes I end up with blind spots, and I think that having Republicans or people that disagree with you can help fill in those blind spots. I can give you some examples of blind spots that Kamala Harris has. That she needs somebody to the right of her to.
I'd love to hear it. Yeah, what are some examples?
For one thing, she's falling for media narratives against, such as Trump said, bloodbath, and that it was going to be a bloodbath if he wins. When that wasn't like the context in which Trump was saying. She's falling for shit like that, and it would be really useful to have somebody on her team that can be like, listen, Harris, this isn't what was said. And
Okay.
also, she's pushing for policies like unrealized gains on wealth on investments, like taxing that,
Uh-huh.
and that's just like a ridiculous policy. There's better policy to accomplish what she would want
Okay.
than that, and I
So
would like somebody to point that out to her.
Okay, go ahead,
So
Seconds.
here's my issue. Here's my issue with this. First off, is your issue is that she's kind of engaging in anti-Trump narratives that might not be true. So you're reaching across the aisle to anti-Trump Republicans. Like, I don't know how beneficial that's really going to be.
I think that
I do think Admiral Gibbs kind of has a point where Liz Cheney is in all essence a Democrat because she's kind of been ousted by the Republican Party because she doesn't worship their God King, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I
So
like
have you seen the podcast The Bulwark?
no.
Those are anti-Trump Republicans that started a podcast. It's pretty popular, and they are the reasons why I was like when that bloodbath narrative came out, they were like, yeah, no, this is bullshit. I don't know why the Democrats are going with this.
Sure,
I think
but
that they would have. I think that somebody like a Liz Cheney would have a better chance of not getting blinded by the left wing narrative than having nothing but Democrats.
I guess all I would say is I think that Democrats are perfectly capable. I've criticized the bloodbath comments too. I would say, hey, let's redirect to Trump's actually insane comments, which he's made several of. We don't need to necessarily point to bloodbath, which the context was that it's going to be economically devastating if he doesn't become president. But things like unrealized gains, I'm critical. I'm a Democrat. I'm a hardcore Democrat. I disagree with Kamala's rent control policies. I think that those are devastating economically. And if I were in her cabinet, I would argue against her. I don't necessarily think you need a conservative because unfortunately the Republican Party has become so insane that really a ton of Democrats can be conservative minded and still and correct Kamala. We don't need to reach across the aisle to Trump loving MAGA insane.
I want to get more people in. Hold on, I want to get more people in on the conversation. I want us to make sure that Principals has a chance to speak, and I want to give it to the Doghouse show afterwards and get his thoughts on the matter on bipartisanship, Kamala's cabinet, and just in general. Principals, let's give it to Principals.
No.
First. Go ahead.
Doghouse can go first because he just came in.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, I'll keep it short and sweet. We shouldn't do any bipartisanship with the MAGA cucks. They can go F off. I think that we should go towards reasonable Republicans. MAGA gives zero craps about how Democrats behave, and they try to block Democrats at every angle. So there you go. That's my sweet take.
Okay.
Can I have
Cold
20
take
seconds?
just I like them.
Can I have 20 seconds before the other
Go
person
ahead.
goes? Because what I was going to say builds on that. When I say that it's a great thing, I don't mean that we need to have Trump Republicans in there. I want the traditional Republican Party in there, giving that a bigger voice. This seems like a really good thing to be platforming them, because honestly, the best friends that we have as Democrats is traditional Republicans right now. The far left is like way too far gone. But like, if we could work with them and help get them to push out some of the, we got to clean up some of this Trump shit after if Kamala wins, and that's the best way to do that.
Here's my problem. Okay, I think that sometimes we forget what a cabinet is.
Yeah,
This
we
isn't
gotta
just someone-
give it to Principals.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
go ahead.
I understand.
No, you're okay because I was going to direct this back to your earlier point anyway. So maybe this will be a springboard for you. So one of the things you asked was, what does this person bring? And your sort of rebuttal was, we can get conservative perspectives from within the Democratic Party. I think part of what this person brings to a Harris administration is the fact that they are from a Republican Party as opposed to being someone within the Democratic Party. I think it's something that gives her a little bit of political cover with other Democrats. And you got to understand, I don't belong to either party, and I'm pretty aggressive about being an independent. So I can respect and understand that she's going to do a little bit of playing politics to make people happy, and that seems like one thing it does bring is that this person who's challenging Harris in a more aggressive way isn't coming from inside the House. And I think the other answer to your question, who would you bring in? I don't have a specific name to offer, but I think the best way you do this is you go down ballot. There's got to be somebody at the state level or maybe even local level. I mean, think about like Pete Buttigieg, right? Mayor of South Bend, Indiana. Like, what an amazing byline before he became the Secretary of Transportation. But there may be somebody who is in the Republican Party who has a particular area of expertise because of the state that they're in, or because of something that is, economically important where they're at, and you bring them in, again, maybe commerce, maybe transportation, something that's appropriate based on their skill set. It doesn't necessarily have to be a national level politician, and that lets you bring in somebody who has genuine conservative bona fides, who would hopefully make Gibbs happy, right? Who wouldn't be saying this guy's just a rhino. That probably hope Gibbs would still be saying like he's a nobody, but the point would be this is somebody who has a perspective and a viewpoint, and they are a Republican.
Let me ask. This is to the anti-bipartisan, for lack of a better term, people such as Staxiums and to Dog's House Show, right? Do you not find value, or here, I'll ask it this way: if your position is no MAGA Republicans ever, we don't want them anywhere near government, we don't want them anywhere near positions of power, we don't want them anywhere near any kind of legislature, right? In Kamala should do everything in her power to keep them out.
Yeah.
What signal does that send to voters, right? To people who are within, hold on, if I may can I finish my question? Yes. To people who are Republicans who do have some issues with Trump, who do have some issues with MAGA, is there not a risk that it simply says, well, we have no place there, so we have to just double down because we have no off-ramp. We have nowhere to go. The only party that will ever accept us is the Republican Party, and because Kamala's already told us to go kick fucking rocks, right?
Yeah, I can take it if you'd like.
One at a time.
I'll let you go,
Go
then
ahead.
I definitely have something I
Great.
want to say after that.
So I just want to be clear. If this makes people happy and helps her get elected, it is a good idea, and I would encourage her to do that. If this gives her political cover, great. But if this makes people happy, she is not the moron those people are. That's my answer.
Why is that a moron thing to think?
I think that if you are a centrist when it comes to being if Trump and Kamala are equivalent in your mind, then I do think that you are either ignorant or malicious.
No, I'm not talking about hold on. Let me clarify, right? Because obviously we're missing each other. I'm not talking about like the people who think Kamala and Trump are the same. I'm talking about people who are Republicans, right? Who are like, I don't like Democratic policies. I think Trump's crazy. I don't like Trump, right? But if you're not going to work with me, Kamala, at all, then Trump will. So why won't I?
Okay.
I'll just go with Trump, right?
That's a fair point. I don't know if those people are morons necessarily, because I just disagree with their policies. I don't know if they're morons. Maybe that was too harsh. Those people probably fine, and if it sells them over, then great. We should make the Democratic Party. We should do anything as we can in our power to get elected. That's my pretty cold take.
$5 from Audacity, and then we're going to go to Doghouse Show. These liberal dudes are the living embodiment of ED, erectile dysfunction. Cheney, really?
I think he meant Elder Drazi.
Maybe. That's your shot, knowing the disdain the right has for her? Okay, thank you. Doghouse Show, go ahead.
Yeah, to be clear, I'm not saying that we shouldn't work with reasonable conservatives such as those of Liz Cheney, Adam Kinzinger. We could talk. I know I don't think Mitt Romney's in the Senate, but I'm not sure. But anyways, we can work with those reasonable Republicans. And my response to those who are like, well, if you're not going to be reasonable, I'm going to go to Trump. Then I would just laugh at you and go, okay, go ahead and go to Trump and see how reasonable it's going to be. Because time and time has shown again that the moment that you sit there and say that you don't like one of Donald Trump's policies or you question one of his crowd sizes, they'll drop you in a dime. Whereas Kamala Harris is willing to bring you in, listen to your opinion, and actually try to see what we can do. Kamala Harris should be looking for reasonable conservatives, not MAGA conservatives. MAGA conservatives are on their own little bubble. So to be clear, I'm okay with bipartisanship, but we should definitely sit there as Democrats and say we have no reason to sit there and bring a MAGA to the table. We'll talk with reasonable conservatives who actually have reasonable policies.
Cacophony says, and this is Cacophony, says, they said Mitt Romney would put black people in chains. They don't work with moderates. They just paint them as Nazis. But any further
That I
thoughts?
mean, they is just always such a broad brush.
Do we want to Do we
paint
want to
with.
talk about like how Republicans have painted every Republican who's ever left the Trumpism and called them a communist and a socialist and a Marxist? We can go there
Look,
because
we
that also
Can I get in
happens.
on
we
this?
could go
I like
tit for tat every day. Like
no.
Yeah.
Let me jump in here because I see something happening, and this really gets me. All right, so liberal Cluck, he mentioned Liz Cheney. Now I have been advocating like for Trump. I'm probably the most Trump person on this panel. However, I'm what I would be classified as a traditional neocon. The Cheneys, those are my people, right? I like the Cheneys, right? Or I did, you know. And the reason why it's amazing me the left doesn't seem to get why Trump is popular, right? The reason why Trump is popular with his base, and the reason why y'all keep going, oh, these are reasonable Republicans versus not, is ridiculous. That's bad framing. That's bad faith. And actually, I would argue that's the moronic take.
just call
Because
them
there's-
rhinos instead.
Hold
Is that
on,
the
hold on,
idea?
hold on, hold on. Let me finish.
Yeah.
There's multiple.
Rhinos and
Hold on.
warmongers.
Shh. I'm talking. Look, there's lots of factions within like the Republican Party. Just like there's lots of factions with the Dems. The neocons and people like Liz Cheney are one of them, right? However, they lost
neocon,
power.
that's another one.
Shh. Listen, there are a lot of neocons that have lost power, like the Cheneys, and they're sad, and they obviously are lashing out against Trump about that, right? It's just ridiculous to me that y'all don't seem to understand that the reason all these people have turned to Trump is because they're sick of the uni party, which is basically neocons and the neoliberals, which controlled the party since, I don't know, the early 90s, or maybe even later than that, or like further back than that. And it's just like, we're going, okay, we're sick of the status quo. We want drastic change. We think Trump's going to help us, and there's the same reason why a lot of
There'll
moderates
be
are going that way.
drastic change. On
Yeah, it'll be good. It'll be fantastic change for the better.
inflation will go
And
through the roof.
we've seen 4 years of Trump, and we've seen 4 years of Kamala Biden, and it's been 4 years of utter atrocities with the economy. I mean, yeah. So I don't.
The economy's been great.
It's been dog shit. I mean, I'm
Oh, it's
sorry.
been
You're
great.
just wrong.
Have you
You're
seen-
wrong.
Actually,
You know we're at a
can I-
15-year high for homelessness.
Hey,
You're wrong.
Hey, Gibbs, did you know?
Yeah,
Just-
15-year high for
the number
homelessness.
one. The
Yeah,
number
that's
one
the
marker
economic
for-
indicator. Yeah, it's the economic indicator. Wouldn't you say? Is it?
No, you
It's
would look
okay.
at GDP.
Oh,
you would look at jobs.
GDP is always going up.
GDP is up.
Always
GDP
going up.
is
Every
up,
GDP
oil
is
So you
always
would look at
going
the
up.
you would look at the
Wages are
acceleration
This is so
of
asinine.
GDP. You
This
would
is
look at
just
wages. You
dishonest.
would look at job
This is
employment.
dishonest framing once again.
You would
There's
look at
three kinds of
inflation.
liars, like
I know
good
you don't
liars,
like
bad
We
that.
liars.
keep getting
I know
okay.
this-
We
I
keep
do
getting.
like facts.
Hold on.
You're just ignoring
I
the
think
facts you don't
this
like.
is I think
Okay.
this is a good example of the problems, perhaps, or the obstacles, potential obstacles when it comes to bipartisanship, right? When we can't have you talk about bipartisanship, because when we try to talk about bipartisanship, what comes up, we can't be bipartisanship because they're bad people, and this has been happening.
Yeah, and they just
throughout
lie.
this
They just
panel.
lie. We've been getting lied to since Biden about how his
But-
mental
but
state.
I think-
And then you
I'm
expect
saying
us to
this.
take your
I'm
numbers,
saying this
but then
so
we
that we
expect
can
you to take your
focus.
numbers.
I'm saying this
Yeah.
so we can focus less on who's doing worse and who's doing better for the economy,
No,
and
I-
talk
well, sure,
about
but this
should
is my point, Whit.
one, is bipartisanship something we should work towards? Why or why not? And two, is like how do we get to bipartisanship?
How are you going to have
I get-
bipartisanship with someone's going to lie to your face, and then
Hold
every
on.
time you bring up
Wait,
any
wait,
numbers
wait.
that prove
This
them
is the
wrong,
fundamental
they say
problem.
you're
This
an
is the
idiot.
fun-
That's the not right number.
No, stop, Gibbs. This
That's
is the
bad
fundamental
faith.
problem that we have. This is the fundamental problem we have, is that MAGA cannot just accept basic facts. This is the problem with
Oh.
bipartisanship, is that to have
Right.
bipartisanship, you have to have a
Just
common
like
set of
crime being
facts.
down, right?
Oh
And
no, you
MAGA
gotta let them
cannot
go.
even
Go ahead.
accept some of the basic facts. That is the
Mm.
problem that I have with
What
this
about crime?
bipartisanship with MAGA. At least with the reasonable conservatives, they can accept that there are certain things that are true, such as the economy being in a better state than it was
It's not.
4 years ago.
Such as
So
Trump
that-
losing the election in 2020, like
Exactly.
such like
I don't
yeah.
care about that, but I mean, this is my
Very
argument.
basic facts.
But
If
yo,
you
yo,
cannot
okay, how many
accept those
times have these
basic
facts been wrong,
bipartisanship
though?
is off the table.
But okay, here's the
Bipartisanship is
argument.
impossible.
Okay,
This
skips. We do get things wrong, but the difference
Every
is that
time.
when we're shown evidence and hard evidence that we are wrong, we will change our minds.
No, you don't. No,
Yes,
you
we
don't.
absolutely do.
Hold on. That is a lie, and I will prove it right now. I have been told every single panel I have been on that crime is down. Guess what? Not
Yeah,
down.
crime is down.
2022
It
was a
Yeah,
high.
2022 went up. And guess what?
Oh,
2023
it
did not change.
was an
2023
actual.
did not
It was an
change.
actual
Well,
high.
see, this
Well,
is
we
the
don't have the
problem,
results
is
out
that
for
you're
23
not
because
even-
we're gonna get the review and it's gonna be wrong again. Just like jobs report last time this jobs report just came out. It looks good. Guess what? It's probably gonna be wrong in 6 weeks. Who knows?
Gibbs.
Every time we do this, these numbers end up being wrong, and then y'all go, "Well, we are just the
And
product.
this is why
We're the
we-
party
we
that are like,
should
no,
not
We
have
just-
any
because
we
y'all
just-
lied about the
Wait,
numbers."
Skips. How many people on the left would you show those 2022 numbers to, and they would be like, no, 2022 wasn't high.
A lot of them.
They would say 2022 wasn't high.
I've sat here and argued with the 2022 numbers from panels and panels and panels, and been told crime is down. And then when it comes out, they go,
Were you saying this? Were you saying this in 2024? Are you saying crime is high now, and you're trying to use the 2022 numbers to prove it?
How many times do I have to repeat myself here?
I'll respond. Can I respond?
Okay, go ahead.
Gibbs, here's my issue. Crime is largely down. Over the last 10, 15, honestly, maybe 30 years, crime has significantly decreased year to year. Now, you're right, okay? 1 year, it went up, and everyone went, well, it's obviously down, because for the last 30 fucking years, it's gone down. And so, if that's your biggest indictment of the Democratic Party, is that we don't look at statistics every single year to double check that it's consistently going down the same trajectory that it's been going down for the last 30 years, you got us, okay? I'll fucking, you can handcuff me right now. But like, mark that against fucking like a coup against the government. I'll take not checking statistics 1 year.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm not gonna argue about the coup thing.
How many of the left on this panel would say 2022 numbers are lower than 2021 or 2020?
I would actually sit there and say, look, make those numbers as high as possible, because guess what? 2023 did not change, which means the higher that you make the 2022 numbers, the larger the drop for 2023. So you know what? Increase those numbers for 2022, baby. Increase them, because guess what? That decrease is going to be so much larger.
So wait, hold on. You do understand that we just now figured out those numbers were wrong. So it'll probably be another year before we figure out 2023s are wrong. You see a pattern here?
Wait, did we just find out, or have you been saying this for 2 years? I'm trying to figure that out.
I've been saying the crime numbers aren't right for 2 years, and we did just find out. I have been sitting here saying for years the crime stats are wrong.
Right.
Sure, lo and behold, guess what? They were wrong.
Holy
shit! Like the Republicans have been saying.
Gibbs, I have literally cited every time I've cited statistics to you. Your answer is they're wrong every single time.
And they're being wrong every single time.
This isn't like some miraculous, like, oh, I fucking called it. Like, you're shooting wildly with a machine gun, and you're like, look, I got a bullseye.
That's what's crazy. Because y'all told me, this is how y'all
No. What he's doing is he's shooting wildly with a machine gun. He picks a bullet hole, he draws a bullseye around it, and he says, look, I got it.
We were looking.
Exactly that.
Gibbs, I'm in a Greek philosophy class right now, and one of my professors was talking about this pre-Socratic guy who was talking about, hey, this idea that you have of atoms, that's actually not true. It breaks down even more than that. And everyone was like, holy shit, he figured out quantum physics. No, he was just stupid. He just made a fucking terrible call, threw it out into the open with no evidence, and then happened to be right some fucking 2,000 years later.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean shit.
Let's just go through this list of things I've been writing about here. First, we talked about Tren de Agua. Guess what? We just had 16 arrests here in San Antonio, 3 arrests in Dallas.
Wait. Hold on. Say that again. Repeat that.
Are you citing anecdotal evidence to support national averages?
Hold on.
Yes.
I am going to cite anecdotal. I'm going to cite anecdotal evidence. We've had 16 arrests. Just like when I was just told a couple weeks before that. Nah, there's no Tren de Agua. There's no Venezuelan crime. All this thing. And then all of a sudden we're catching up.
Who told you that there's no crime in Venezuela?
All of a sudden we're catching these people left and right. No, we're catching these left and right.
Hey Gibbs. How many illegal migrants have crossed the border that are estimated? How many do you think are crossing?
Well, I got a stat right here that I can post up that says 13,000.
Okay. Stop, all of you. Stop, all of you. Okay. Principals, I have a question for you. Watching all of this, because you're probably, in my opinion, the biggest bipartisan supporter that I know, right? At least on this panel. You've just watched the last 15 minutes of the back and forth here.
Yeah.
How can we ever get bipartisanship to work with this?
The bottom line is that it comes down to the way that the parties are handling themselves.
Yes, we just saw.
I mentioned.
We just saw.
Well, no. No, I said the parties.
Okay.
I mean the Democrats and the Republicans, not individual people. Because the issue here has to do with the fact, and I don't mean any offense to anybody, because I'm including myself in this category, but we're all basically pundits or talking heads here, right? We're all, neck deep in this stuff on a regular basis. When it comes to actual voters, the majority of them, I would argue the vast majority of them, aren't this neck deep in these kind of issues on a day-to-day basis. They might casually keep up with these things, but really they don't pay that much attention. And when it comes to people's perceptions of Congress, we know that the obvious the counterintuitive truth is that while Congress itself has single-digit approval ratings, most people have 90% approval rating within their own district. It's because politicians know how to play politics. And when the parties play a game of saying it's more important for us to show a unified Democratic or Republican front rather than focusing on scoring wins, then that's what you get is a bunch of squabbling.
But what happens hold on. The reason why, because you're touching on some things that I agree with and some things I don't, right? One of the things that I think that is just obvious is that Congress as a whole, single-digit approval ratings, right? It's low. It's low. But funnily enough, people within their individual districts have a positive approval rating, a very high approval rating. But the reason for that, I think, is because voters have decided, and the question will be why you think they've decided this and how we can change it, that they may say they want bipartisanship, but they don't. If your district guy or district girl works with someone in the Republican Party and you're a Democrat, you'll primary that person. You'll primary them fucking out.
No, I completely disagree with your premise.
You think so?
That's certainly true. That's certainly true in some districts. Don't get me wrong here. This was one of the criticisms that Pelosi made of AOC when she was first elected. If anybody doesn't remember that, oh yeah, a glass of water could get elected if they had a D after their name in her district. It was pretty savage, but it was also very true that, hey, I don't particularly care what you say about how the Democratic Party should run because you're in an ultra-liberal area that has different expectations than anywhere else in the country. And again, one of these things that is just, if you take your head out of the sand for a second, you'll realize that bills get passed every day, and bills don't get passed if everything, absolutely literally everything, gets filibustered and goes to party lines. There's all sorts of things that get done on a procedural basis constantly that involves all kind of tit-for-tat negotiation and log rolling, and it involves people from both parties working together. And for the most part, most members of both parties tend to keep their noses out of the partisan bickering. There's a reason that there's maybe 24 names from both parties that we all recognize at the national level that are involved in all of this partisan bickering. And for the most part, everybody else is just saying, I would just like to win my race, please.
Yeah, but the thing is even with that though, a lot of those people you're talking about, those dozen or so, they're the ones spearheading that particular party. So, for example, if you look at the Republican Party with the Freedom Caucus, they're the loudest voice. And this is the problem that I have with the Republican Party is that they are all those people at the lower level. If they don't support Trump, then they're going to lose their election in their districts. So they all follow in line and go, yes, 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 we'll follow. And they just simply say yes because the leaders are the ones saying yes. So that's my issue is that you could say, sure, there are the loudspeakers, so to speak, but they're the loudspeakers for their party, and their party is demanded of them to fall in line. When you look at
I think the reason they're doing that is because as loudspeakers, they've kind of chosen a particular strategy in terms of how they want to approach the next election cycle. I don't give any politician enough credit that anything that comes out of their mouth is 100% genuinely felt and intended. There is always an element of appealing to the larger audience, no matter who you're dealing with. It's just a reality of politics.
But isn't it telling then that almost all the loud voices you hear from politicians specifically are painting the other side as evil? If they win, we'll never have another election. if they win, they'll take all your guns. If they win, communist camps for everyone.
Yeah.
If they win, illegals will swarm across the border and kidnap your children, right? Like, does that not signal that the American public just doesn't want bipartisanship, and they want their side to win and the other side to lose?
I think that you are framing it a lot more tribalistically than I think might be fair to the American people. I think that this is a pretty intelligent way of analyzing a specific group of people who, in their mind, has taken hostage to the country that they have known and love. I mean, this God King has run run 3 times in a row. Biden underperformed in one debate and we said goodbye to him. Like, I feel like there's a huge distinction to the type of flexibility and the type of awareness and looking to compromise that one party demonstrates to the other. And I think that some people will view that and go, like, because I hear what you're saying, Wick, but I guess my question is, what if they're right? You know what I'm saying? What if one party is detrimental to another, and it's possible that democracy might not exist if one of those, if Donald Trump gets elected? Do you think that the American people are right in not wanting to be bipartisan?
I think that in that case, you should do everything in your power to make sure that the institutions are strong, so that no matter what happens, no matter who wins, because we want I want, maybe not Gibbs, maybe not a couple others on this panel, but I want Harris to beat Trump. I do, right? But I understand that there's a real possibility that might not happen, right?
Right.
And so I'm looking at how to deal with this real problem of our democracy is under threat, and I think it is a real problem. And I think, well, I could put my bet on something that is a 50-50 shot at this point. And sure, I'll go with that. Like, we just straight up win the election. But there are other things that I think that we should do to strengthen our bond as Americans. And one of those things that we can do, not just politicians, but us, right? And I'm glad that Kamala is doing this, is signal, even if it's just like optics, right? Yeah, we'll work with the other side. You're not all evil. We'll work with you. There's a way out. It's not just Trump. You're not all psychopaths. So we can work together still. And I think that by strengthening that bond, hold on, if I may, strengthening that bond, right, is going to be a bulwark against literal, like, the end of democracy shit, right?
Sure.
Does that make sense? And I want to hear from a couple people want to go, but I want you to respond, and I want Doghouse and Elder Drazi. Then I see your hand, Gibbs. Go ahead.
I do understand and agree with what you're saying, but I do think that needs to be weighted with another something else, which is, this isn't just someone in her camp that she's going to listen to every once in a while. This is a cabinet position. Like, we're essentially suggesting that Liz Cheney is going to be in charge of, like, the Department of Education or something like that. Like, a conservative who essentially wants to strike down Common Core, who wants to ensure that there's not national standards being held, that wants to shrink public schooling and increase private schooling. And to me, as someone who believes that would probably be pretty detrimental to a lot of children,
it would.
I don't know if that's worth what you're saying here.
Yeah,
but
no,
I
here's
do think
the
that
thing,
is something
though.
to consider, though.
Here's the thing, right?
I hear what you're saying.
Yeah, no, here's the thing. Like, I get that, but this is the cost of freedom, if you will, right? The cost of these things is, if we want to make a world or make a culture where both sides have a real voice in governance, and I think that's the most healthy way to do it, we have to be willing to make a sacrifice, pay a cost, right? And we have to be willing to say and show, when we have power, as the Elder Drazi said earlier, to say, you know what? I don't like this person's policies, right? I don't like Liz Cheney's policies on education. I think they're bad. But I recognize that they are real problems that and these are real beliefs that these people have. So in the interest of compromise, in order so that you support us in things that you think are bad, right? So when we talk about all the good democratic governance election stuff that we want, that maybe a Republican to be like, I don't know about that, Chief, right? If we want them to be willing to okay, set aside their values on occasion to vote with us, we have to be able to do the same with them. And I think that Kamala reaching out and saying, okay, we're going to do a compromise. We're going to make a compromise on this in order for, to show that we are willing to work with you and maybe do things that we don't really want to do, but you want to. So we're going to let you have this cake, right? You will work with us too. And you pick people who will do that, right? You don't get tricked and trapped, right? But you pick someone who has demonstrated that they will work with you to get you elected, for example, like the Cheneys have. But yeah, I want to hear Doghouse's show response and Elder Drowsy and all that. Yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to say too, again, Kamala is also advocating for a Republican advisory committee or something like that when she gets into office. So keep that in mind. There's not been anything that's been talked about from the Trump camp about trying to bring in a Democrat, other than bringing in some people who are already pretty much Democrat adjacent. And this is the thing to think about is, again, I also this kind of begs the question is that to what point do we stop listening to the other side, right? Because this is the problem. If we agree that fundamentally this party is anti-constitutional, okay, and have tried to upend our democracy, do we really give that party any leeway, any room to actually talk? Or do we just say, no, you've lost that chance. You've lost that opportunity. We want to bring someone who's far more reasonable.
But then
So
it
in other words,
becomes
what I wanna-
but then it becomes an all or nothing thing where we have to win or we
no.
get nothing.
No. So again, my solution, because I've been talking a lot about the problems. The solution I would say is you want to try to go for the people who are primarying MAGA candidates, right? You want to try to put a lot more donations behind those candidates. We see this a little bit happening. Well, it's happening on the Democrat side, but you would want to try to find it on the Republican side. Here in Texas, there's a lot of donations flooding in for Colin Allred versus Cruz. And I think that's the way to do it, is just flood these markets, try to get these MAGA candidates out of office via that way.
Wasn't
And
Democrats
then
wasn't Democrats supporting MAGA candidates because they thought they would be the weaker candidates? In
I'm not
Sorry,
too familiar with that.
supporting is such a strong way to say
If you're,
it.
if you,
Yes, Hillary Clinton essentially wanted Donald Trump to be the forefront of the Republican Party because she thought that she could beat him. That's a far cry from saying that she's going to donate or supporting.
Primaries this year and last year. Or,
I don't know what you're referring to.
No,
I don't.
So
think
what
that's
he
a
is
baseball.
referring to, because I'm aware of this, that a lot of people in the Democratic Party, or not the Democratic Party, but like the donor class, if you will, decided to prop up the primary candidates who were the craziest because they thought that if we had crazy MAGA Republicans to run against, it would be better for us and easier for Democrats to take the W. That turned out to be true in 2022. That was one of the reasons, right, that we were able to prevent the red wave. The risk, of course, being that had they won, we would have had crazy in the.
Well, we're looking fondly on the donors, but looking terribly at Hillary Clinton, even though they kind of made the same risk assessment.
Well, I don't know if I'm looking fondly. I'm not fondly looking at this, right? I think it was a huge risk that happened to work out this time, but I think it's a bad precedent, right?
It's one of those throwing shit at the wall and seeing what sticks, and this time it just so happened to stick. But
yeah, and the easy response to this is just saying that I don't agree with that. If that's what happened, I don't agree with it. I don't think you should be trying to prop up any MAGA candidates because of that risk. So that's just the easy response to it. So, but
I just want to jump in here real quick. I want to reiterate, and I'm going to try to do this as not bellicose as I can here, maybe, because I think that there's a fundamental problem that is keeping bipartisanship from happening. One, I've already made clear I think the Dems are just liars. But two, and this is maybe the more effective one, if we want to actually solve the problem of bipartisanship, is when I look at it like this. I said this earlier. I don't think the left and the current Democratic Party fully understands the Republican Party, right? And this is why I brought up like people like Liz Cheney used to be leaders in the party and the Cheneys in general, but now they would be considered rhinos, right? So what has happened is there are several factions in the Republican Party. There's neocons, there's religious right, there's the MAGA people, there's a couple other smaller ones. And what has happened is the MAGA has kind of absorbed these and made deals with them for the most part and to get them into power, right? And so the MAGA party now, for the MAGA group is basically now a lot of the large portion of the Republican Party. And whenever the left here goes, oh, they're all crazy, we can't work with them, that means that y'all don't want bipartisanship, whenever y'all should be saying, let's find reasonable MAGA people and stop trying to classify all the MAGA people under the same umbrella. When, like, I get called a MAGA guy all the time, and I didn't want Trump either time. I voted against Trump in one primary, and I was loud against him in this most recent run. I didn't get a chance to even, like,
primaries.
Sure, but my point is, I've never been a diehard Trumper, but I get called MAGA all the time now because just because you support Trump over the alternative, because the alternative is important to me, kind of like Wick said, all these things y'all are asking us to change our values on seem like things that I would rather die than have happen. It's kind of like, hey, okay, what are you gonna, you're not going to scratch my back and you're going to call me crazy, even though I don't agree with a lot of what Trump says. I don't like a lot of Trump's foreign policy, but if I have to choose between that and what's going down at the border, or I have to talk about the economy, then yeah, I'm going to vote for Trump. Like, but y'all won't make a deal with people like me. Y'all going to call me crazy is what y'all going to do.
I will call you crazy. So
Sure.
Here's my frustration is I feel like the problem is that we can't look at what happened on January 6th, where it was essentially an overturning of the peaceful transfer of power. It was the democratic process where Donald Trump implemented fake electors. I can't think of a more unconstitutional, un-American fucking charade to possibly do than to
the average person's not talking about this anymore. You realize that, right? Like, I think somebody else mentioned this. PvP mentioned this. This is not an average party thing.
Let me finish. I agree. People aren't talking about that. But I'm saying, if you can look at what happened and said, no, Donald Trump's I'm still going to vote for him, you're fucked. I can't deal with you anymore. I can't. Whoever that person is, I need to either be doing two things.
It's
one,
not
roasting them as a person, or two, going,
we trust the institutions. We trust the institutions to work. It's like people like this is kind of like what Wick said. Don't you want strong institutions? And it looks like to me like right. So because the strong institutions are in power and in place to stop things like you're concerned about. And I don't see January 6th as near the existential threat as you see it. I see it as it was maybe not good, but I don't see Trump like leading this charge down to the Capitol to single-handedly take over.
You guys are on the same side here.
Y'all aren't willing to have any bipartisanship, and this just entrenches the sides because y'all like all MAGA people are crazy, and I'm like, well, I feel like I'm a reasonable one.
Hold on, Gibbs.
And y'all won't parlay with me. Go ahead.
No. This is the issue right here. Is that MAGA wants concession after concession after concession. How many concessions are they willing to give to the left? Zero. That is the problem with MAGA. I'm fine with traditional Republicans who are willing to meet in the middle. That I have no problem with. What I have a problem with is MAGA conservatives who sit there and paint any leftist policy as communist and Marxist. They refuse to come to the table unless you meet them. They want concessions, but are unwilling to provide any back. That's the problem.
Can I redirect here?
I would really like to say something. I would like to talk about bipartisanship instead of the two anti-bipartisanship guys arguing with each other about their own political ideologies here.
The thing is,
just talk about bipartisanship for just a fucking minute, and
we are talking about bipartisanship.
Okay, here's hold on, Drazi, then politics, then.
Okay. Thank you.
Clock.
So
go ahead.
We spent a lot of time talking about why we don't want. Let's talk about what's good about bipartisanship. How about the infrastructure bill? As a Democrat, we got Republicans to sign onto a bill that actually fucking addresses climate change. That's fucking huge. If you're a Democrat and you don't see that as a win, you're fucking crazy.
Wait,
also,
didn't Kamala Harris have to tiebreak that vote? She had a tiebreak that, didn't she?
Let's look. I'll look at the votes.
Sorry, go ahead.
It doesn't mean anything. We could have had the majority.
Okay. Anyway,
that's a bill that had eight charging stations.
What else
is that
does
the one you're talking about?
bipartisanship inherently get us? It gets us if deals are being made between across party lines, we can get favors as well. We can get these people talking to each other in a constructive way, so that when future bills come up, maybe there's a different president, we still have the same people in Congress. We can get deals being made that is going to be favorable to whoever you are, your side, regardless of who's in office. I think that's pretty invaluable. If you're one of these people who's constantly talking about how nothing's getting done, we want things to get done. Pointing the finger and blaming the other side is all well and good. I think that the other side is crazy and stupid sometimes. They think the same about me, but I would like to actually see some shit happen. And it's not going to happen almost at all if we keep on doing this.
Can I counter real quick, Elder Drazi?
Yeah, that's really what I want to say.
No, I appreciate that.
Oh, I'm sorry. I just want to put one thing at the end of it. Say everything you want. What better way to get to embolden the traditional Republican Party outside of MAGA than to give them a bigger voice? If you don't like MAGA, then we want to open the door to every other Republican as much as possible, right?
So I think my issue is kind of twofold. So first, the bipartisan infrastructure bill, it's just bipartisan in the name, right? It's not necessarily that they voted bipartisan. There were 35 different votes on it, so it's kind of hard. I'm not pulling all of them up immediately, but the first one that I pulled up, there were 8 Republicans that voted for it, 205 that voted against, all 220 Democrats voted for it, and we didn't need any of those Republicans. Now, maybe some of those other 34 votes, maybe it came in clutch, okay? But I think that it's weird how you're talking about bipartisanship as a means to an end instead of a concept.
What about the
in
Senate?
itself. Like,
what about the Senate?
Sure. I can look that up later.
It's crushed in the Senate,
Well,
69 to 30.
Yeah. No, you need that in the Senate. You do understand how the Senate works, right?
Look, I hear you. I was saying the other 34. I'll look at the Senate. I'll check it out. But I think that this points to a problem that I have, which is I, of course, think that bipartisanship is good when it works. Okay, when you need bipartisanship, of course, fucking if your bill can't get passed and you need to reach across the aisle, of course, reach across the aisle and bring those Republicans into the fold so that they can vote for your bills. Okay, no one is disagreeing with that. I think my problem is one, treating like bipartisanship is just like a means unto an end. Like it's just good to have Republicans in the Senate when they're essentially wanting to excise everything that's being done in the government. And two, to treat voting on a bill with members that are already there the same as appointing a fucking representative into the cabinet, into the White House. That's not something you need to do. And if it's something you need to do, then we should do it. But I don't think it's something that we need to do.
Here's a really
what you're talking about isn't bipartisanship, though. You're just talking, like you're saying, if we need it, then we'll use it. That's just using any kind of political manipulation to get what you want.
Correct. That's what anti-partisanship.
This is very much a means to an end. I'm talking about bipartisanship as a fundamentally good thing because it strengthens our government's ability to make things happen.
Right.
No, you're talking past each other. Okay. So what Staxium's is saying is that if bipartisanship helps us win and pass the bills that we want, then we will use it and be good. What Elder Drazi is saying is that bipartisanship is something we should do even when we don't need to.
Right, and I'm saying that's foolish. That's foolish.
Well, the thing is that we're in a situation. Wait, we're in a situation.
Arguments.
But we're in a.
How freedom of speech? How is that freedom of speech? Because I'm criticizing you.
It sounds like the same argument that people use when it comes to freedom of speech. You don't need it when if I don't need my speech to be protected, I'm going to care a lot less about it.
Okay, so we are in a situation right now.
Bipartisanship, you should have it when you don't need it, because when you do need it,
okay,
that's
so
when you'll have,
you want to cultivate it at times when you don't need it to show that you can use it later. I understand what you're saying, but I just don't believe that the Republican Party post Mitch McConnell is genuinely capable of being cultivated. I think that
the only way we can cultivate it.
Okay,
it's
so
the
we are
only choice.
But yeah, I feel like we keep going down this road. Sorry, I'll let you speak.
There's two people who are in line. Principles and Cluck.
You can cut me off. Yeah.
So Principles and then Cluck.
So I wanted to try to extend an olive branch over to Gibbs because, it's not as though I'm MAGA, but I have probably more Trump voting and MAGA friends than anyone on the panel other than Gibbs, or well, Wick has his whole audience, so he's got more friends than. But I don't have a problem talking to people and trying to understand how they think and trying to get inside their heads in terms of what's important to them. And I think that that's something that is critically important when we're talking about bipartisanship, is that number one, you can't start from a perspective of painting everyone who isn't part of your political party with a broad brush. Like, that's literally how you wind up with leftists calling liberals fascists. Because they say, oh, well, you don't belong to my fringe movement, therefore, I paint with broad brush. I think you have to remember that non-Democrats incorporates a lot of people. It incorporates people like Gibbs. It incorporates people like me. And there was a comment about Republicans not making concessions, and I think that's completely unfair. So I wanted to pose to Gibbs, because I had kind of poked at this earlier. And you said, hey, don't try to tippy-toe around bringing in, like, somebody who would be considered a rhino today. I said go down ballot, because you could get somebody who, doesn't have the baggage. But is there somebody that you think you could put, put a name forward that we could discuss, who is, like, a MAGA person that you think would, like, reasonably, respectfully represent you in that kind of Harris cabinet, but who would also not, like, instantly cause Staxiums to leap out of his chair?
Okay, so before you answer that, before you answer that, $5 from Portland is burning. Bipartisanship is good and virtuous because the government should always strive to represent its entire constituency. Polarization is unsustainable. Thank you for $5.
Holy fucking base, Portland.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Gibbs.
It's such an idyllic position.
This is good. I don't know. I got the first part. That's not a MAGA person. That, like, is definitely not a MAGA person who has thrown in with MAGA, and I got the perfect. You know what? I got the perfect position for him, even in the Harris cabinet. If Harris wants to win Republicans over, and she wants to put a Republican on the cabinet or give them a key position, she should make the border czar an official position of some kind and give it to Greg Abbott. He's not a border. He's not a MAGA Republican. He's a traditional neocon, established in Texas, and Project Lone Star has worked, and it's been definitively working. And if she wants to show that she actually wants to fix the border crisis, there you go. There's your answer.
It's so fucking easy on you when you're in favor of those policies. You know what I'm saying?
Well, you asked. He asked. I gave you an answer.
I could throw it right back to you and say, why doesn't fucking Donald Trump put Bernie Sanders in charge of the Department of the Treasury? You know what I'm saying?
It's even worse than that. So he again made it sound as if Greg Abbott is not MAGA, even though was okay. Then why was he on the VP shortlist? Why was he giving the endorsement of Donald Trump? It sounds to me like he was
because Donald Trump is reaching out to the neocons. Donald Trump knows how to make. Yeah, I mean, are you saying he's not doing that?
So you're not.
Doesn't he reach across the aisle?
Did he not do that with? Hold on. Did he not do that with Mike Pence originally?
You have so much fucking vitriol for Kamala Harris for not reaching across to Republicans when we're arguing about policy that she.
I didn't make this question.
About making the Republicans Congress. What has Donald Trump done? Period. To reach across the aisle for Democrats.
What you're missing is MAGA. Okay, but what you're missing is MAGA is an umbrella, right? There's a lot of groups. Hold on. And the question was, if I could pick a non-MAGA person, and I said, okay, cool, Greg Abbott. He's a neocon. He's an old school neocon. He's been that forever. Been a neocon.
Okay, Gibbs.
So he's down ballot. Look at his foreign policies. We got we don't need to go all through the reasons why he's a neocon. But you asked the question. I gave it to you, and it's down ballot. He's not, and it's for the short ballot. He did it with Pence. We know he's willing to reach out to these people, but we know Kamala won't reach out to them.
Hold on. Let me ask this. Trump gets elected. What Democrat would you be okay with having a cabinet position in Trump's presidency?
Tulsi Gabbard.
Tulsi Gabbard's not a Democrat.
She's not.
What do you mean she's not a Democrat? She's a Democrat.
She's left the party.
Oh.
Yeah, isn't she an independent?
Robert, hey, what's his name? Robert Kennedy.
He left the party too.
Either. What the fuck are you doing?
No, name one. Okay, here. One Democrat. I'll make it easier. One Democratic senator that's sitting. That's a Democrat. That you would be okay.
It's got to be a senator. How about a House member?
Fine.
Yeah, let's get AOC in charge of like gender affairs or something.
Okay, so a fucking joke answer. Got it.
Well, gender affairs isn't even like a cabinet position.
No, he's fucking he's just saying
not only is he joking, it's a bad joke. Like
It's like a bad joke because it's not based.
I mean,
in
Tulsi
reality.
Gabbard was but Tulsi Gabbard's the same thing as Liz Cheney. She's a Democrat, and y'all forced her out
Is
because
Liz
y'all didn't
Cheney
like
an
her moderate.
independent now?
She basically is, and she's not.
Okay,
No,
wait,
is she an independent?
She should be.
Okay,
Oh,
see,
but she's
that-
not.
No, I'm pretty.
That's
I'm
what y'all
pretty
did with
sure he is
Tulsi
an
Gabbard.
independent.
What's the difference?
Hold on, I want to hit on this because this is something I've been like super.
You're a little
pushing.
low, by the way.
Oh, I am. Okay, let me adjust it.
Yeah.
What about now? Is it loud?
I'll turn you up, but go ahead.
All right, turn me up. So what I want to say is this. I find it hilarious, and this is exactly why I said there is no such thing as bipartisanship on the MAGA aisle, because anybody who disagrees is considered a neocon, a Marxist, a socialist, a rhino, you name it. It's all over the board. So why is it then? Can there be even a reasonable Republican in the MAGA party? No.
Also,
because
Liz
the
Cheney
moment
was
you
not
mention one time.
Have you considered Greg Abbott?
Liz Cheney,
He's barely.
Hold
a
on, but Liz
Trumpian.
Cheney, y'all mentioned Liz Cheney,
Right.
and y'all bashed Tulsi Gabbard the same sense. Tulsi Gabbard is at least a city member. Liz Cheney didn't even make it again, so she's not even a Republican.
And see, this
she
is
got,
the
she
funny
got
thing
kicked
about
out.
it, right? Is that
a Republican?
I mean, that's a fair
also,
argument.
Wait.
Tulsi Gabbard is not sitting. She
let's
she's
stack
so
it.
cool.
she's
It's the
been
exact-
represented for 3 years.
Let's not forget.
So it's the
let's not
exact
forget-
same
wait.
situation.
Would
then.
you
You're
agree that
it's a
RFK
perfect
Jr.
situation.
and Donald Trump did not see eye to eye
Well,
before?
Sure,
right? They
but
did
if he
not see
puts
eye-
him in the party,
but when he
if he puts him in the
supported
party,
Donald Trump, you loved him, right?
I don't love him. I don't love his
Okay.
policies
No,
at
no,
all.
You guys have
But
been
you
so
asked-
partisan. You made Wick leave.
Hold on, but here's what you're missing. Tulsi actually, it even works out even better if Tulsi Gabbard is not sitting. I wasn't aware, but that's my bad. She's over here. She got kicked out of the Dems, right? Liz Cheney got kicked out of the Repubs. So
and
basically,
you
you have the
happily took her in when she
equivalency.
supported Donald
And,
Trump.
and
You
y'all
just
happily
loved it.
take.
You
Hold
ate
on,
it up, right?
this is hypocrisy. What you do? Y'all are happily taking in Liz Cheney the minute she didn't support Donald Trump.
Hey, guess what? I think Liz Cheney did the great thing regardless.
Well, I think Tulsi Gabbard did a great thing
Isn't it
regardless.
interesting, too, that Liz Cheney actually supported a lot of Donald Trump's policies, and yet somehow she's an independent and a Democrat? This is wait,
this is a
question.
moving goalpost.
Wait. I do want to ask. Oh, it's moving goalpost. I want to ask you something, Gibbs. Would you say that if a Republican voted Democrat that they are immediately a Democrat, or would you still say that they're a Republican?
Depends on what the policy was.
No, okay. If a Republican voted for Kamala Harris, would they be considered a Democrat, or would they still be a Republican if they have voted
Just
Republican?
an average Joe Republican, like average
Okay,
Joe
someone who
person, say-
voted for a Republican.
Connor
Donald.
is counterpoints. Counterpoints.
He's not a Republican.
There it is. Thank you. That's all I needed.
He's not though. I mean, I'll die on that hill.
Got it.
That's
But
Okay,
see,
so-
this
Doesn't like Trump.
We have
but he also doesn't have any other Republican policies. He's got. I've
What
argued with
are you
Connor.
talking about, Connor? Are we talking about the same person?
This is what's so funny to me is the Twitch is so far left. Like when you put like someone like me who's really actually a center righty,
You're
not even
proving
that
my
far
point,
down.
Gibbs.
And when you
Fuck
put,
outta here.
I am. This is how far left
You
it
called
is.
yourself
Is
a
that-
neoconservative.
Yeah, which is still as a center righty. I'm not a religious righty. I have like light issues on other like social issues. You could get me on a lot of those. I'm moderate. Here's the thing: whenever you put someone like me next to Connor, he's clearly a dim. It's like not even close. Like I just don't even know how y'all can
Because
even.
you're not center right. He
I am
is.
center. That's no. It's because y'all are so far left. Y'all thought that moderate.
There we
like,
go.
center
You're
lefties,
proving my point.
Y'all
Gibbs.
are so
You're
so
proving
far
my
left.
point.
Okay.
Though the memes are true. Like when you see the lines
Bro,
and you see like people
Admiral.
that were in the center and y'all took off running down this way, and these people are like,
Admiral.
oh, I'm no longer. Yeah, I'm sorry. The center left does not mean they're Republican.
Okay.
The center
Admiral.
left means they're still left.
Cluck has been
Admiral,
trying to.
Admiral
Cluck has
Cheney,
been
she's
trying to.
Admiral.
Hold on. Hold on.
He
Hold
also
on.
works for
Hold on.
history.
Hold on. Gang, Cluck has been trying to get in. I want to make sure that Cluck gets his chance to speak.
Well,
Cluck.
I mean, I want to respond to
Go ahead.
Admiral right
You
now.
gotta
You
respond
said
to
that
Admiral
we're all
and then give
super
your
lefty.
talk. Yeah.
Oh, you said we're all super lefty, but yet two of the left people on here was railing against Kamala Harris's wealth tax. We were railing against like
Sure.
we're not super left. Like
I'm not saying all of y'all are.
But
Who's
so-
super left? I was railing against a rent control policy.
Yeah, like rent control. We hate rent control. Like, I mean, anyways, we're in a situation right now where back to like bipartisanship. We're in a situation right now where the population is split pretty evenly. This election is going to be close, and I think that bipartisanship is required for anything to get done right now. And also, we have a situation where the Republican Party is split between, like Admiral was saying, the ones that are establishment Republicans and the new MAGA Republicans. And if we can bring the establishment Republicans into the left-wing fray, we could have a much more powerful left-wing party and hopefully drown out the MAGA Republicans' political power. Because that is the and if we can't do that, if MAGA continues gaining political power, this country is doomed because MAGA doesn't live in reality.
I have a question for you.
Yes.
Hang on. No, just real quick
I'd like
before
to-
your question.
Oh, yeah, before
Yeah,
questions. And before you, gang, remember, if you enjoy this content, like, subscribe, give me money. Subs on Twitch, super chats on YouTube really help. Money. And I have a poll going in the YouTube chat on whether bipartisanship is good or bad. Vote in that poll. Okay, principles, carry on.
As the token independent on the panel, I do think it is important to remember that some of this is more about coalition building than, again, it is about strictly bipartisanship. So part of what you just said there had to do with like, oh, well, we want to partner up with this group of, I'll say conservatives for lack of a better umbrella term. It may be useful to remember, Staxiums, that calling people morons is not a very good way to endear yourself to them, and it's a pretty good way to get them to decide to coalition build with MAGA instead of with you.
That's true. That's why we're building up the establishment conservatives on this panel right now.
Yes, actually.
That's why
Wait, are there establishment conservatives on the panel? Where are they?
No, like
Raise your
in
hand.
our rhetoric, in our rhetoric, we're and it's not just us. It's the Bulwark. It's Pod Save America. We are building up those who are trying to on the right who are trying to fight. Go against MAGA.
No, I wasn't criticizing you, and to be clear, I did hear Staxiums kind of address this earlier, so I'm not trying to be too hard on him. But
No, yeah, that's fair. Can I respond?
Yeah, no, please.
Go ahead, though. Okay, sure.
Oh,
So,
sorry. Yeah.
I hear what you're saying. I hear what you're saying about saying morons is not very effective. I do have a good amount of frustration. And that's because I live in fucking Utah, okay? Every single goddamn day of my life is
Your name's Hunter, of course you do, but go on.
True. Nice.
Yeah.
It's making inroads with conservatives. Like I go over to my wife's family and they are diehard MAGA Republicans. And I have to go, yeah, I don't know if the COVID shot was like particular. Like, I don't really like that we kind of forced everyone to do it. But I do think that like COVID was like kind of dangerous. And I have to like talk about stories about my grandma who's like, suffering. And it's like, oh, well, maybe, and then they just go, fuck all of you Joe Biden socialists, except for you're chill. But like all of these Marxists who are implementing the government, and it feels like I am the only one making inroads when they're just refusing to do so. And I get that like I'm in their bastion, they're not in mine, right? Like that might have something to do with it. But I do come on here and I'm like, finally I can be a little honest. You know what I'm saying? Like
finally I can be a little honest.
This point you're making is exactly why
I rest my case.
Okay, Falsers wanted to say a few things.
This point you just made is exactly why.
Of course, I'm lying to them about how much.
Of course, I'm lying.
No, shut the fuck up. Just listen. Okay. You agree with this. You agree with this. When you make inroads with people, do you think Kamala Harris genuinely wants to hear Liz Cheney's opinion about the Department of Education? Or is she really just like, I gotta fucking do this in order to win? Like, this is politics just like everyone else.
Okay. Give it a second. We'll get to that. But Falsers wanted to come in briefly, give his spiel, and then we're gonna.
Oh, what's up, Falsers?
Yeah. Very quickly. The point you just made, Stacks, that's the issue. This conversation feels so intellectually dishonest, especially from you, Gibbs. For you to sit here and whine about wanting bipartisanship while voting for a candidate who literally yesterday and 2 days before that talked about turning the military on the enemy within, which were the extreme left, as he described them. In other words, people that don't agree with him or want to vote for him, is so fucking far from where the conversation has actually gone. Like the idea that we would sit here and negotiate on a bill with someone who has no policies to put forth in the first place for some sort of bipartisanship effort. What are we talking about?
We're talking about lunacy. That's what it is. Okay.
Well,
and that's
Gibbs has to hold on. We gotta let Gibbs respond to that. Yeah, we gotta let Gibbs respond.
I would love to respond. I mean, like at this point, I feel like maybe this is sound bad about the whole state of politics in general when I say this, but I've gotten to the point at this point where almost no rhetoric phases me, well, on either side. I mean, just yesterday, I watched a video of a former Harris staffer who's a professor say that all men who don't vote for Kamala should be lined up and shot. So I mean, like, yeah, I feel like there's this rhetoric on each side that's pretty outrageous.
Well, hold on. I'm not talking about a man saying it, like a random person.
Yeah.
There's nut jobs on both sides.
Yeah, but
I'm talking about the leader of the Republican Party who has all of the MAGA Republicans in his pocket, which have control of the party right now. I'm talking about the person whose family runs the RNC.
Like it usually is.
I'm not talking about a random Republican voter.
Sure,
this is the man saying we should turn the military on the left. And you want to come on here and talk about bipartisanship as if the left is the reason we don't have it.
Sure, listen. It is the reason
Show
we
me
don't
that
have
person because I don't see that at all.
I'll find it later. I'll post it to you.
Later.
Well, I don't have it right here with me right this second. I didn't know we were going to go down this
this
road. But if you give me like a few hours, I'll find it for you. But here, hold on. The answer is here's the thing is like, okay, sure, you can show me a Trump quote. Like he says some pretty outrageous things, but then it's just like we'll use the January 6th one since we're all familiar with this. Yeah, everybody knows the January 6th thing, and everybody goes, "Oh, he said this wild shit here." And then they also missed the next like 5 sentences where he's like peacefully and patriotically, and they're like, "It was all incendiary." And like every time y'all do this, I go, "Hey, there's usually more context needed." And like it's so bad that like I'm always like, "It's more context needed." Just like with this guy that I fucking quoted here. I think I shared it actually on my Twitter. I'll see if I can just find a quick hangover.
Okay, so just so we're all clear, so when Donald Trump actually says, "Let's turn the military," to the people that he disagrees with, we're going to hand wave that. But with Kamala Harris actually works with Republicans and brings them into her campaign and says she wants to set up an advisory board that includes them and helps craft policy with them. So when she actually takes action, that doesn't matter. So the action we're going to minimize and the words that Trump says we're going to hand wave. Got it.
This is the problem I'm having once again with this is like when you say this, let's just go in the last like week and a half with Kamala. First, Kamala said, "Hey, I wouldn't change anything that happened under Biden." And then she said, just like yesterday, I would change a lot of things. So what is it? Is she like happy with what happened under Biden? Is she not happy? It's just flip flopping like left and right, even within her own sentence.
Hey, who did? Wait. Hold on.
She said that with Brett Baer. That's fine. Hold on. My point is this: like rhetoric,
because you're proving our point.
No, you're not proving any point. What point are you proving?
Down with Fox News
because she's behind.
She sat down with Fox News. When was the last time that Donald Trump sat down with MSNBC?
I don't know, for the debates. Like I don't know which was that.
No. He hasn't been with MSNBC in a long time. He also
so the debates though, but he did do the debates.
That's neither here nor there for me.
Yeah. But my point is this: is like when you talk about rhetoric, I can point out all sorts of wild rhetoric from either side and go, "Hey, this is unacceptable for me. I can't do it." Like. What's your point here, really?
What unacceptable rhetoric has Kamala Harris used in this?
That's on the level of I would send the military to destroy the evil from within. Also, remember he called us.
I mean,
vermin.
You also have to remember that
he's already
suing
called
the
us
Texas,
vermin, right?
Texas government for destroying the border. We don't.
I don't want to hear about that. I want to hear about what the candidate we're voting for is putting forth.
The Biden-Harris administration is suing the Texas government for putting up stuff on the border when it's been proven to work.
What rhetoric did Kamala Harris use that you have a problem with? I don't want these big
I don't even have
what
to
has Kamala Harris said that you have a problem with?
I can point to policy.
Side.
Gibbs.
What
Kamala Harris?
Look, here's the thing. You guys are kind of taking Donald Trump out of context, okay? He just said you guys should march down to the Capitol and prevent Pence from establishing the peaceful transfer.
I can look at policy is what I'm saying.
And then he threw it peacefully. And that negates everything that he said beforehand. It's like
okay.
Gibbs just say let's look at policy.
Okay.
What policy, Gibbs?
I can look at let's talk about the border policy. Why are they suing the Texas government?
Once again, we have descended into who's worse than the other, and that's all well and good. But we are talking about bipartisan. Like, let me just ask you this, Fulsers, while you're here, because I know you can't be here for very long, and I want to give it to our friend Drazi next. Do you think that bipartisanship is possible?
Sure, it's possible, but I'm with Staxium's full stop on this. Like, we're being a little idealistic. So when I'm going to get out of like the disagreements for a second, let's just talk about like utility, right? If I'm trying to write legislation for economic policy, right, and I'm on the Democratic side right now. And the bipartisan solution is all Trump has put forth is to tariff the hell out of people, and we have a fundamental philosophical disagreement about how these economics work. There is no bipartisan middle ground there. It's a one or the other thing. So we can sit around and circle jerk on Twitch poll all day about wouldn't it be nice, but in reality, one person's going to be right and one person's going to be wrong for a lot of these issues, or at least you're going to take one side or the other. There is no bipartisan middle ground for everything, and that's not innately evil. That's just the way it is. You pick a strategy and you run with it.
Well,
I
this
don't
is my,
I don't
this
think
is my issue
anybody.
with this. Well, real quick, I'm gonna make it real quick, and then you go. I'm so sorry.
Real
This is
quick.
my issue with this: is you could pick your argument or whatever, but like Staxium's already admitted what I have been saying this whole panel is that Dims is dishonest. He literally said, "When I talk to Republicans, I'm lying," which
No,
is
no,
what
let
hold on,
me
which is
explain what
this
he's
is
doing.
what hold on, you can explain in a second. But this is what
Here's what it is,
Republicans have
yeah.
been saying. They think that everybody who's a Republican or a MAGA guy is just some idiot, and it's like, no, you don't understand why we went to MAGA.
You
don't
know what?
understand why we
I'll
went
take
to
the stance.
Republicans.
Every MAGA person is an idiot.
That's
Screw
fine.
it. I'll
Cool.
take it.
That's
I don't
cool.
care.
But the argument
I'll
we've been
own it.
making is every time
I
y'all
have enough
present us with
evidence to back
facts
it
or
up
something,
anyways.
y'all are lying. And then sure enough, he comes on here and he says, every time I go to one of their bastions, I lie. I literally lie. Now, Republicans, we don't do that. We go there and we just have the fight and we argue about it because we're honest.
Well,
Go
no,
ahead.
you're not
Okay,
honest. You're
I have a
falling
question
for
for you.
lies. You're
This
falling
is-
for
Okay,
lies.
okay,
This-
okay.
it's
Let's give it
so
to
on
Drowsy.
topic.
Let's give it to Drowsy. Go ahead, Drowsy.
So, if I could just have a minute to talk to Gibbs here, I'm going to illustrate something very well, I believe. Gibbs, do you remember before the show started? You and I were talking. And I had a goal in mind, knowing that you were going to be here. And I was like, I want to make a joke at you, at your expense. But I said, I'm going to do us both a favor. Before the show even starts, I want to say, like, you like Star Wars, right? And I said, you probably rooted for the Sith when you were a kid. I just imagined you getting mad when the Jedi won. But the way that I did that, I approached you first on common grounds. You like Star Wars, right? And you're like, yeah. And then I got to make that joke, and you and I laughed about it, and then we talked about it. Do you see the difference in how I approached you? That if I just threw it in here as an attack in the middle of all this chaos, how that went down?
I mean, to be fair, I would have probably agreed with you then too, and been like, "Long live the Empire." But that's neither here nor there. But yeah,
What do
I
you
mean,
think that would've hit?
I agree with you. I mean, I thought you were very polite. I've always thought you were pretty polite. I like. It's the problem isn't that you
It's
that's
the
any
approach.
specific. Yeah, the approach
It
is
was the approach.
But yeah, because you're willing to engage, and this is the problem I'm saying is whenever everybody lumps everybody in MAGA, it says, "Hey."
Okay, I have something I want to
That's
say.
what bipartisanship is. It's a willingness to engage.
Gibbs
that's
called me
my
out.
point.
I'd like to respond for 2
I,
seconds.
I understand everyone wants to respond, but after I say my say, because I have something to say, I'm going to
Okay,
give
I'll
it
allow
to
it.
Staxium. Oh, thank you. I'm going to give it to Staxiums, and I'm going to let Falsers respond to what I'm about to say, and then we'll let. I know Falsers probably has to go, so we'll let him go, and then we'll get back to everyone. Here's the deal, right? When you Falsers were talking about if you're writing if you're writing legislation like on tariffs or on economic policy, right? And you have it's binary. You either agree with it or you don't. And why would you ever write something that you disagree with into the bill, into legislation? And I understand the argument, however. But one of the reasons that you would is so that they will let you write legislation that you want in. So that's what compromise looks like, right? And you say, hey, we will give you this. We don't like it, but we'll give it to you. And if we do, you will give us that. I will show you how this has worked in practice when we look at the COVID relief bill way back in 2020, 2021 era, right? There was the SAVE Act, the SAFE Act, SAVE, CARES, something like that. I forget the exact thing. One of the things that the Republicans actually compromised with the Democrats on, I'm being bipartisan here, I'm saying this is something the Republicans gave up for the Democrats, right, is the Democrats wanted unemployment benefits in there that originally wasn't in there. But in order to get Democratic votes, in order to get Democrats to sign on it, they were willing to say, okay, well, we don't like this. We think it makes it bigger than we want. But if this gets your vote, we'll give it to you. There are times when we have to do that. And I think that the government works best when both parties do that. When it breaks down is when one party or both parties decide to stop doing that. And I think that's where we are today. I'll let you respond, then I'll let Staxiums go, and then we'll go on from there.
I agree with about 90% of what you said, but keep in mind, I'm agreeing with Staxium's full position, full stop. And part of what he caveated in his position is what we're talking about is bipartisanship for the sake of itself, which is to say, if you don't have to, just doing it to do it. What you're describing is situations where the compromise is more of a necessity to get the legislation passed. And of course, we can probably agree that 10%, 30%, 50% good is better than zero, right? And so there are plenty of situations where that is practical. But that's that's not
Okay,
something.
but the reason it's good, not just from a practical perspective, but from I don't want to even say a moral perspective because it's not really a moral perspective, but it helps everyone feel seen. It helps all the voters feel like they're getting something out of it. So I'm of the position. So even if we don't necessarily have to, it is good practice to do so. Because then voters, hold on, then voters feel like they're heard and they don't have to win 100% of the time to get anything, right?
What Wick just said is a principled position, and everybody who's saying that I'll do it when it's good for me and not any other time, you have no fucking principles.
Let me ask you a question, Rick. In my zero principles,
and then we'll go to Staxium's.
In a few years ago, there was a bill put forth to make insulin more affordable and available, and I believe it did end up passing. And a lot of Republicans voted against that bill. Should we, in the name of bipartisanship, join Republicans in compromising on that bill and make insulin less affordable so it has better optics for our political state in America?
We passed it with bipartisanship, didn't we?
Okay,
there were the majority of Republicans voted against.
Yeah,
but we still passed it with bipartisanship.
No, but that's the problem. Okay, wait.
That's not really the point.
Well, if I can,
I was going to say, because that's a big issue too, is like when we look at a lot of these different bills, keep in mind that Kamala Harris had to cast the most tie-breaking votes of any vice president. And so if we want to look at bipartisanship for this entire administration has essentially been out the window because MAGA conservatives have had a stronghold on the Republican Party, so much so that if we even look at the infrastructure bill that I brought back from the previous conversation or earlier, it was actually passed in the House by 221 to 201, I think it was. So even then, a vast majority. So what are we going to call bipartisanship?
Hold on. If your argument, hold on.
I
want to address what Doghouse said, but I want to answer your question, Falsers, just to be clear. But to address what Doghouse Show just said, yes, bipartisanship is at an all-time low because we have decided not to work together because the voters have decided that's fair. But the voters have decided that if you work with the other side, that we will punish you, electorally. You will be punished. At least that's what the politicians believe. Whether or not it's true, right? The politicians believe that they can't work with the other side because if they do, they'll be called a rhino, or they'll be called a fascist, a Nazi, a Trump sympathizer, whatever, right? And so bipartisanship, while it still happens here and there, is at an all-time low because of this dynamic at play. So to answer your question, Falsers, I'll tie this in, right? Depending on the various situations, yes, I might. And the ways that I would do that is because I recognize that by doing so, it will lead to better outcomes in the future overall. So, while yes, insulin might have to be a little higher than I wanted it, when another bill comes up, because we've established this kind of cultural norm, right? Then we can have a situation where I might have gotten totally fucked, but now I only get 50% fucked, which is better.
15 years ago, I would agree with you, but I don't think the state of politics today and what seems to be demonstrably true follows in this idealistic logic, because what we've seen is every step that the Democratic Party has taken to express bipartisanship gets met with a slap in the face and calls for military to take care of them in some of the most recent news, right?
Oh, look, I think Trump needs to go. I agree with you.
And I'm not trying to attack Gibbs personally, but he's got a pretty standard position.
One of the
which is like talking out of both sides of your mouth and saying what the Democrats do in the name of bipartisanship is no good.
One of the reasons that
they're
Trump,
the bad guy because they don't do enough.
But one of the reasons Trump is able to retain control, and one of the reasons that he has basically a 50-50 shot of winning, is because we do not there is no off ramp. So Republicans believe
Of
that
course
they
there
have
is.
no.
There's
no way
Liz
you
Cheney's.
do
There's
The
Adam
Republicans
Kinzer's, right? Of
believe
course
that they have no one to go to, because look at the shit that Kamala has gotten for even suggesting this cabinet
Vic,
position.
No, they don't
Look at
want,
the
they
people.
don't want to join the,
Vic,
the
hold on.
Democratic Party. They want to stick it to them.
No, that's not true.
I
This is what-
disagree. I
This
disagree.
this is the part you're skipping over, though. Is like I keep talking about the factions, right? And this is why like Doghouse Show and others are saying, "Oh, the reasonable Republicans," because they're pointing to a faction they like, right? Trump,
Obviously.
sure, that's fine. The Trump has taken these factions within the Republican Party and made deals with them so that hey, he's palatable to them, and they've joined up and teamed up. Now, since this is now the new Republican Party, you either got to work with this, or y'all got to work with people outside that, which AKA rhinos or reasonable Republicans.
There
or
you
however
go.
wanna
Right.
frame
Okay,
it.
there you go. You
Sure,
just said the quiet part out
yeah,
loud.
sure,
Just
sure,
say
yeah,
it.
because they're not
Any
reasonable.
conservative is a
Because they're
rhino. You just
basically
said it.
no, fake news. But what I'm saying is that it's all just branding. You're basically going to sit here going, hey, we're going to take the guys that were outed. We're going to try to make a coalition with them to stop Trump. Instead of, hey, let's make a deal with maybe the Trump people that like are maybe not as
tried.
diehard MAGA.
Okay, I'm
But y'all
telling
don't.
you,
The
I'm
border
telling
do
you
that.
what the
Y'all
voters
do
are
that.
seeing.
Y'all-
Hold
the
on,
border bill's a
I'm
perfect
telling you
example
what
why
the
you didn't do
voters
that.
are seeing. What the
I
voters are
agree.
seeing, what the
I
voters
agree
are
with you, Rick.
seeing is that what we talked about earlier. We saw that there were the donor class, the elites, if you want to call them, in the Democratic Party, propped up the craziest of the MAGA people in 2022 because they thought it would help them win. They funneled money into the craziest of the crazy because, again, the voter sees this and think, well,
you have
man,
the issue in front of you.
they
You just
want
want to
to
identify the
win.
issue. Listen to what Gibbs just said. He just called the Democrats that
Gibbs is
work-
crazy. I don't
Republicans that work
consider
with the
him a-
Democrats
Wait.
rhinos. That's all the MAGA people, though.
Because they're
all
the
the MAGA
power-
people
that's
do
the
it.
group of people
The
that
moment
have
we
power.
try the
That's like-
bipartisanship,
That's like the
they call
Baptist
them
Hold on a
rhinos
second.
and
Hold on a
cast them
second.
out
Hold
of
on a
the
second. Hold on a
party.
second.
Like
Hold on a
it's
second.
a wasted effort.
No,
So
that's
I
not
don't
what
think-
just happened.
This isn't the political world of 15 years ago.
You're basically picking like the same thing as when the Baathists after Saddam got in bed with ISIS, right? Like they're basically two fallen parties. They're sitting there going, "Hey, we're gonna team up with these guys, and maybe with the small group of them that are still left, we could take on." Like instead of, "Hey, let's actually deal with the MAGA people," which is a very large like group of people, because there are MAGA people that would work with y'all if y'all were honest. The border bills brought this up earlier. They offered a better one in 2018 that the Dems rejected just because the DACA wasn't on board, and then it got rejected again.
It wasn't
And
just because the DACA was on board.
It was
It
every
wasn't
policy
just because
was
DACA.
It
It
was
was
DACA.
not just because
It
DACA.
was
There was a lot in that
100%
bill.
DACA.
No, there was a lot in that bill that the Democrats didn't like.
Yeah,
But
sure.
anyway, you're talking about HR 2, right?
Yeah, I got it. It's,
Yeah, there was a
that's
lot
what
in
I'm
that bill
talking
that
about.
Democrats
Saying
didn't like.
that DACA is like your limit for like where the reasonable test for Democrats is like, oh, they wouldn't even let DACA in.
HR
Are you
6136.
fucking- that's
Wait,
how work
is
we
there
are? That
anybody-
the most popular
HR
policy
6136.
in America?
Hold on.
Is
I
there
want to
anybody-
hold on, because Staxiums.
Yes.
You've been called a liar.
Oh
on
yeah,
this
I would
panel.
love to respond to that.
And I want to make sure.
He called himself a
Wait, can
liar.
I ask a question
Hold
real
on.
quick? Can I ask a question real quick?
Real quick.
It's a yes or no question. Is there anybody on this panel? No, it's directed to everyone that's pro bipartisanship. Is there anybody that actually thinks that we should be bipartisan with or a MAGA right now? Like in this
Hell
point in
no.
time?
I say no. I don't.
Well,
even
you're
care
you're
anymore.
you're aren't you
It's-
anti
it's
all the way?
both of them.
So
Yes.
yeah.
So
But
Yes,
much
you're yes?
prefer-
Okay.
I
yeah,
think
but I prefer the more.
Okay, then continue.
Hold on.
'cause
No, I want to hear.
I'm a
Hold on.
big-
I want to hear Principal's answer to this.
Yeah.
Principals, go ahead.
Well, and I was gonna say, I think the only two people who are eligible to answer that question, based on the way you posed it, are me and Elder. So, Drazi,
Well-
thank you for standing up there. But I would say yes. In fact, I posed that to Gibbs earlier. He gave a more restrictive answer than I asked for because he specifically said I went non-MAGA and I went down ballot, and I said down ballot was my suggestion. You can pick whoever, and I actually suggested pick a MAGA person that you think would be reasonable to work with, who could compromise with Democrats, that wouldn't make Staxiums jump out of his chair. Maybe we won't find that person tonight, but yeah, I'm open to that idea.
Okay.
I mean, I tried. I gave as good close as I could get. That was non-MAGA. That was good on this issue.
Okay. Staxiums. Let's
Yeah.
get back to you. So,
So
I say your name and it's
I
like
apologize.
you go. But I
sorry
have
that I'm
stuff to
excited.
say to you to frame this
I'm
so that
very
you
sorry,
can
Will.
work within the bounds given. Okay, so let me finish, right?
Yes.
Because you've been called a liar because when you came in, right? You told the story about how you went to your parents' house, or maybe it was your in-laws, I forget, and you
it was my
basically
in-laws.
had to lie to, or you felt you had to, not be entirely honest with them about your feelings because it would hurt their feelings or whatever. What, or do you not see that perhaps that by doing so, right? By doing so, it does, because people can kind of sense sometimes when you're holding back. So they wonder, what is he not saying? What is his real feelings? And I don't know if they watch my show, right? But how would you feel if one of your in-laws were watching right now, or one of your parents, and it was like, oh man, has he been lying to me the whole time?
Sure. So I'm studying to be a math educator, a math teacher. And something that we talked about in class sometimes is that you kind of have to teach smaller and smaller. Like, education is really just the art of teaching smaller and smaller lies. Like, an example is we tell kids you can't take the square root of -1, or you can't use infinity in math. That's a concept, not a number, right? Like, all of these are like technically falsehoods. They're absolute lies. But these are children who have tiny little brains and don't understand the words that you're speaking. So when I go over to my in-laws, who are metaphorically, by the way, tiny little brain people who cannot understand simple concepts, I go over to them and I go, hey, I got the vaccine because my grandma was immunocompromised and I wanted to make sure that she didn't get sick. That is not exactly true. I did have a grandma who was immunocompromised and I didn't want her to get sick, but I would have gotten the vaccine anyway. I'm telling this story because I'm going, hey, you know, this compassion and empathy that you feel for grandmas? You can extend that to everyone in the country, actually. And maybe you might infect other people's grandmas. I know that's a difficult concept. So I'm essentially lying, but those lies are a way to teach truthhood to people who have simple little brains and cannot understand basic concepts.
You don't see why maybe someone might have a problem with this
what I was
framing.
saying about calling people morons.
This
is so good for winning hearts and minds. I was like a second away from chiming in to support you, Stacks, and then it had to be about the small brains.
I have a very similar story as someone who
Tell us how you also lied to parents and children.
I didn't lie about grandma, okay? But anyways,
hey, grandma was real. I did have a grandma. And
okay. I got you. No. So I grew up conservative my entire life. My parents would watch Fox News every night. Okay, I was indoctrinated with Fox News. Well, here's the thing. My TikTok, my dad shared a TikTok with me. Well, what TikTok likes to do is when you open up TikTok on your phone through your account, they then start to get videos from your TikTok. Well, if no one's seen my TikTok, selfish plug, it's been pretty hyperbolic with a lot of pro-Kamala stuff. And imagine my dad, who is pretty pro-MAGA, seeing me simp for Kamala. His jaw about hit the floor. And me and him had a conversation with it, and I had to talk to him. And it's so difficult for me to have these conversations with him because I feel like a lot of the times they do just watch Fox News. I understand that. And I think a lot of the ways I want to be generous here, okay? I do think that a lot of MAGA conservatives that are normies look at Trump from the 2016 to 2020 lens. There are a good chunk that also look at him from the 2016 to 2024 lens. And so I try to talk to my parents and explain to them, but now I am blessed with my mother sending me about 100 different clips showing Kamala Harris and why she's not African-American or she's an Indian. So it's been pretty wild coming out of the closet as yeah.
Can I just go real quick? I just want to jump in real quick.
No, you can't. No, you can't, because I want to talk right now. So no, you can't.
I want to
okay. You can go after me, right?
Wick, you may continue.
Yeah. No, thank you, Stack Teams. I appreciate you. Am I just the odd man out here? I don't lie to my relatives or anything about my beliefs. I don't like sugarcoat it or something. I just say, hey, this is what I feel. I don't. Hold on. I don't think that my Republican family members are small-minded dolts. No, there's a couple who are small-minded adults, but they're not because they're Republican, right? They're just okay. There's a couple, okay, but I've also told them that as well.
So I
and
think
a
it's
little kind of
important.
turn. Oh no, no,
think-
stop,
Sorry.
stop, all of you. Okay, let me tell my fucking story on my fucking show. Okay, right? Like, look, it bothers me, right, on a fundamental level, right, on a principle level, that this is how, because I'm certain that you guys are not the only people who do this, and I'm certain like it's not only Democrats who do this. I'm sure Republicans do this too, right? It's just fundamentally bothersome to me that we're telling other people these benevolent lies, like these, like, oh, you know what, the knower of things, am going to condescend to you, to give you the truth, but only in the snippets that I think you can handle. That bothers me, and I want you both to answer for your crimes right now. Go ahead.
I can absolutely answer for
Please.
it. My parents, I would have to sit down and have a 5 or 10 hour lecture to try to explain to them everything that I see on a daily on Twitter. Okay. And to be clear, Twitter is not something you should take as news, but it's the best way. And I'm on there all the time and I see all this shit. And I see literally every little tidbit of like a Trump rally. Trying to go through and explain all this to my parents, who literally all they do is turn on Fox News. It's not to say that they're small minded. It's that they are what are called low information voters. They don't have a lot of information to work on. And to make them highly informed voters, I'm going to have to sit there and have a very long conversation with them. And so, yes, you try to give them a little bit at a time.
But that's
and say, hey,
that's fundamentally different, right, than what Staxiums was saying, and what you were saying.
Okay.
To be clear, right,
Sure.
is
Can
I'm
I-
full-throated supporting Kamala. My everyone around me who is MAGA in my family circle, right? They know I'm full-throatedly supporting Kamala. It's not going. If they got my TikTok, I don't have a TikTok, but if they did, right, and they saw all this, it wouldn't shock them. No jaws would hit the floor because they know my position already. They know.
But
they're aware.
That's the key. That's the key issue, though, right? Is that you have always been, from what it sounds like, and been very
honest. Yes.
No,
My
okay,
father
wait,
almost
hold on.
punched me in the face at a restaurant because I called him retarded for voting for Bush. All right,
But that's
I'm
the
with
thing.
you, Wick.
But
Yeah,
that's the thing about
we go to
me is
war
that
in my
it's not that
family.
I'm lying to my parents. Let's be abundantly clear here. It's that I have been conservative. I've never told them. I don't think you can lie by omission, but if that's what you want to call it, that's fine.
Yeah.
But I'm not sitting there. The problem is trying to initiate these conversations. There's a social stigma that I have felt that coming out as a liberal, if you will, even though I'm voting for Kamala, I guess you can call me a liberal if you want, coming out in that manner comes with a lot of questions. And now as I see my parents are asking me a crap ton of questions. Well, why are you doing this? Look at this video, this and that. I didn't want that. I've always wanted to kind of keep my political views separate with my parents. I just never wanted to engage with that. That's just me.
That's not what I advocate for at all, just so you know.
Yeah,
That's a
like
different-
No, that's
Staxiums
fine.
was talking about straight up lying. So I'm curious what.
Wait,
Staxiums
hold
has
on,
to say.
No, hang on. I actually want to dive on the landmine for Stacks on this one because I think you may appreciate my take here. I don't co-sign Doghouse, but I disagree with you, Wick, because right around when the pandemic was spinning up and the world was getting crazy, I was spending a lot of time in Norway with some friends and family of friends, and that whole situation is complicated. We don't need to get into it, but the long story short is I was dealing with two groups of people in Norway as, an American, and the circumstances were kind of politically awkward because on the one hand, I was dealing with folks who would walk right up to me and be like, "Oh, I heard you're American. Do you hate Trump or are you a Nazi?" Like, just like those are your two options. You either hate Trump or you're a Nazi. And then the other group, and this is what makes this really interesting and flips it on its head, was I had some friends out in Oslo who you'd walk up to them and they would be like, "Hey man, aren't these lockdown restrictions like totally bogus? We're gonna catch a boat over to Sweden because they don't make you wear masks and stuff." So I'm in like social situations where people are putting out really strong opinions that are like split the room kind of statements. And I think what Stacks was driving at is that when there is someone in your presence that you know is going to make a comment that intense, like, "Do you hate Trump or are you a Nazi?" that you may couch that a little bit and give them maybe not your honest answer, but something that is going to help you navigate that
You can say a
circumstance and
truth
maybe open their mind a little
diplomatically.
bit.
Absolutely, you can say so. You don't have to call them like.
Well,
you're
again,
a
I don't think he
retard,
called
right?
himself a liar.
I think what I'm saying is I'm delivering falsehoods to tell truths, which is another way to say that I'm
You're
telling
delivering
truths.
that's
No.
Can I say
You
something
just don't
about
like
this?
my
How
framework.
artistic
Can
of
you
you.
agree with
I would
everything
like
that
to
I'm
go as
saying?
soon as you get a chance.
Can I say
But
something about this?
could I? Sorry, real quick. Wick. I was watching like a Destiny video, this was like a year ago, and I noticed he did something that I found really interesting. And I'm wondering if you agree with his approach here. Okay, he was talking to a conservative radio. I forgot the fucking video, but he basically was talking about transgender healthcare. Okay, and he was saying, "Hey, I'm frustrated when politicians tell doctors what they can do." Okay. Right. And that is an avenue that a lot of conservatives can approach to transgender healthcare and go, you know what? Maybe we should have doctors tell what to do. But if you ask Destiny, he'll probably go, well, that's kind of a lie. It's kind of a lie because the politicians tell doctors that you can't put rattlesnake venom in fucking syringes. And that's good. That's good, actually. But sometimes you have to appeal to the conservative framework for them to understand your perspective. And I'm wondering if you feel like that.
Here's my stance. And I see you, Gibbs. I see you. I promise we'll get it to you. I promise. And I see you, Cluck. I promise. You can appeal, and if I'm trying to speak to someone who is much more conservative to me, I will absolutely try to speak their language, but I will not say something I don't believe, unless I'm steelmanning, right? And then I make it obvious I'm steelmanning. Like, okay, I'll steelman you for a minute, whatever, right? But I will say things in a way that I think, that I believe. I will, again, speak their language when doing it, but I will absolutely say something that's true. The problem with falsehoods to teach truth is once you get caught not really believing what you're saying.
No, wait, hold on.
No
but
one
did you
trusts
listen to
you
my
anymore.
But if you listen to my example about my grandma did exist and was immunocompromised and was failing, her heart was failing, and COVID would have killed her a lot quicker than it eventually killed her. I was telling that story as to why I cared about vaccines, which is kind of true. I do care about COVID vaccines because I want to ensure that grandmas don't die so quickly of heart conditions. And I was telling that view through a true story, but that true story kind of encapsulated as if that was the only thing I cared about. But that was the only thing that I framed.
Well, no, that's not a lie then, because you actually cared about it. When you're saying it's not a lie.
Did you think that I didn't care about my grandma? I don't know what.
You said that you were lying to your. This is your words, that you lied to your parents. That's what you said.
What I said was I was lying that was the reason I got the COVID vaccine. I got the COVID vaccine because I didn't want any parent, any grandma to die.
Then say that.
No, but
he's appealing to the emotion.
He's lying right now. Is what it is. Like I
don't think this is nearly as much of a radical take as you guys think it is. I think that you guys are hearing.
No, I think it isn't a radical take, but that's the problem. It's not a radical take. It's a very normal take, but that's a problem.
Yeah.
The thing is that the conservatives during COVID
is a radical take. I
well,
think
the conservatives during COVID proved that they didn't care about people's grandmas. Remember it's only killing 80-year-olds. Remember that talking point?
It's only destroying businesses, and businesses owners are committing suicide at a high rate. But anyway, listen. On the note, I just want to point out Staxium's exhibited a trait of MAGA Republicans, especially.
What, did they lie?
I've been waiting. I've been sitting here going for a while, right? This is the problem. Y'all don't understand why people turn to MAGA. They've forgotten. They feel forgotten. They feel like neglected. They feel jaded. Shh. And so what I'm saying is, it's real simple. Staxius came here and he basically said, and I quote, "Hey, y'all are too small-minded to understand what's going on. We're going to do a demonstration of my cause of the Democratic life. Listen, it's okay when we lie to you because we're your benevolent overlords." And this is the same reason why Muslims are starting to switch to Trump after Trump said he'd be willing to consider cutting off funding to Israel. This is the same reason why, hey, black people are sitting there deciding to vote more for Trump than others. They go, hey, the Dems haven't done anything for us for a long time. Maybe we should try something else. And it's like we've been getting lied to repeatedly, and then you're just sitting here admitting it. You talked about me saying the quiet part out loud earlier. You're saying the quiet part out loud. You're literally admitting that you're going to just lie to people until you get your guy elected. Okay. Why would anybody ever want to make a deal with?
No, I want to say something on this. All right, let me say something on this. What Staxios is explaining isn't lying. It's meeting the people where they are. His example wasn't him lying about his grandma. His example was framing his
lie.
The COVID conversation around his grandma because he thinks that his personal grandma and talking about the conservatives' personal grandma is going to hit more than talking about grandmas all around America.
Staxiums, what's
Is
the
this
difference
really where we
between
wanna be?
what you do, right, telling stories to give a larger point, and what Vance does when he's telling stories to go to a larger true
Because
point?
the fact
What is
statements.
Vance? I don't know what you're specifically referring
Vance
to.
Talk about the
said
dog
that
thing.
he is willing to lie about what is happening in specific stories
Yeah,
and
he's
make
just
up
gonna
stories
educate us through
about
lying.
cats and dogs being eaten by Haitians because he thinks that there is a real truth, that there is an immigrant
wow, there's
problem,
a real-
and he's
there's a
going
real
with the real
equivalence
truth.
between
So
those
what
two
is the
statements.
difference
Here's what I would say.
between your lies and Vance's lies?
Here's what I would say.
Vance is more
Look,
effective.
here's the thing. I'm gonna bite this fucking bullet. All right, Wick. I know you're gonna hate me for it. All right. Here's what I would say.
Oh.
The difference between me and Vance is that Vance is wrong, and there aren't
knew it.
Haitians. You know what I'm saying?
Oh
And
my God.
Haitians is good, and attacking Haitians is bad.
We reached
This
some
is an ethical
bipartisanship,
determination
gang.
I'm making. That I'm
Staxiums
into
and
utilitarian
Vance.
calculus, and I came out correct, and he came out incorrect.
I'm a
That's
ca-
the difference, and I
Wait.
understand what you're saying. But that is the beauty of utilitarianism. You do what you want, and then you just say, "I did the math, and it works out."
No, what you're talking about is fact statements.
lying.
Statements of facts. Wait, no. What you were talking about?
I believe that.
What you were talking about is a statement of
That last
fact.
part.
You both made statements of facts. Vance's was wrong. Yours was correct. You just didn't tell the whole story. And okay, so I'm a counselor for a prison. If I'm talking to an inmate,
Pretty
that killed
important
her
right
child-
there. Tell the whole story.
So
You know, like,
listen.
This guy survived the gunshot wound.
Wait,
but died
if
from
you
falling
are
off a 30-foot
if you are talking one-on-one with somebody, then it's a lot different than Vance going on stage talking to people. I'm a counselor for a prison. If I'm talking to an inmate that killed her child, I'm not going to sit there and be like, "Oh my gosh, that's so fucking awful that you did that." Even though I think it is awful when people kill their children, I'm not going to do that because I'm not going to reach that inmate in that moment.
But you're
If
not
I
gonna talk about the
do that.
morality of it like that at all. You're not
You also
going
need
to
to
give
tell
a
them they didn't
impartial
kill their
view.
child either.
No. You're gonna frame. So
You're
I
not
can
going
attest
to
this.
also
I
killed
work
my
in a slightly-
children.
I work in a slightly less. I work in a treatment center right now for teenagers, and they do some fucking crazy.
What lies
shit.
do you tell to them?
Oh God!
You don't fucking lie to these kids all day, every day.
Well, no, you shouldn't be lying to the
What happens
kids.
if I run away? What happens if I jump the fence and I'm like, bro, you're gonna get taken to juvie. It's gonna be so much worse for you. We've had kids do that and they come right back. It's not a problem. Okay. Do I lie to these kids to go, hey, yeah, things will get worse. Please don't do that. 100% I do. And I will defend it till the day I fucking die.
Look, I work at HR for a sweatshop, and I
course
think
you
that
do.
people lying on the left
Somebody clip
to
that. Vote
tell
Republican.
the truth is the way that a lot of Republicans debunk liberal things and think that they're right. It makes everybody else on the left look really bad.
Anyone who has worked with children will 100% defend everything that I'm saying right now.
Also, a
I'm
difference
trying to work with a child right now, and you're just not hearing me.
There's also a difference in speaking to somebody one-on-one and like the liberal media lying or Kamala Harris getting on stage lying and not
Okay,
telling
I
the
know
whole
I don't
truth.
have a huge viewer base, right? I got maybe
It's more than
75
one
people,
person,
100
though.
people watching me between all my platforms here right now. But you just came to in front of 100 people and said, "Hey, yeah, I have no problem just lying about."
Wait,
wait.
I got a great question for you. I got a great question. Hold on, wait. I got a great question.
And next thing, a lie to
I'm
kids.
going to say this, and I want
And
you
I'm
to
talking.
know
I'm
this
not talking like Santa Claus lies to like a 3-year-old. Right?
No. Okay, what
And what's the jump to go, hey, he's going to lie about the kids to the parents next? Like, I'm just saying.
I got a question.
Framing it as lying is still wrong. Like you're
He
not
said
even
that's
correct
a word
there.
he used.
No,
yeah,
you're being so fucking attached to the word that you can't understand
That
what I'm
you
saying.
said.
Wait,
Yes.
do you think there's
Okay, we
varying
can choose
degrees-
educated them. We got to
Oh my God.
educate these people.
Wick, do you think there's varying degrees of lies?
Yes,
Do you think
there are different levels of lies. Some lies
So
are
do you
worse
think
than
some
others.
some lies are more acceptable than others?
I say some lies are worse than others. I don't think lying is acceptable.
You think there's no time where lying is acceptable?
Very rarely. Like if I was hiding Anne Frank in my attic and Nazis came to ask,
Do you
"Are
tell?
hiding
Oh wait.
Jews
Do you
in your
think
attic?"
that there's
I
ever
would
been
say no. I don't have Jews in my attic right now. I think that's an acceptable lie. But in the on the mean, in general, I think lying to for a good cause, quote unquote, is going to hurt your cause in the long run.
What
It's
if it doesn't,
bad.
Rick?
It's just not moral.
What
and it's
about when it doesn't?
I agree with you, Wick. Just on
What
the
about
record,
when
I
it
agree with
doesn't?
you.
This is what's so irritating about me, or about irritating about you, Wick. And I do
I
love you,
agree.
but you are a little
first
irritating
part.
sometimes.
I'm glad
What
I
about when
irritate
it
you. You
doesn't?
should be irritated. Now, I'm not
I'm
going to tell you all is
you,
well
Wick.
in Zion. I'm here
course,
to bring you to
I'm glad that you-
repentance for
I'm
your
glad that you
lies.
get
But
angry
go
about
ahead.
my little takes. What about when it doesn't? Do you think that it's crazy? Like, if I told the truth to these kids and I was like, yeah, honestly, the best way out of this program is to keep your head down, say that you're doing work, attend your therapy, write down whatever the fuck you need to get out of here, and you'll get out the quickest. Do you think that that would be a good thing to tell them? Or instead, what I tell them is, no, man, here's what you got to do. And then I start talking about work. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Do you think
what
that there's
about-
no room between telling the truth and what you just said? That's fucking
Crazy.
crazy.
It's crazy.
Wait, hold on a second.
What
Hold
are
on
you
a second.
saying?
Hold on a second.
It's like you're so deluded into thinking that you have to lie in order to do
Wait,
good.
he's not lying. Wait, he's not lying. He's not.
saying that I have to. I'm
Thank you
saying
for-
that
How
Yeah,
many
he
people
said-
on here? No, I'm
He
gonna
chooses
I'm gonna
to.
hijack
Thank you
this
so much for
conversation
saying
real
that.
quick. No, how many
anyone
people
who
in
is
this room?
Am I
No,
fucking
hold on.
crazy?
I got a very easy
You're
question.
right.
You're
Very easy
absolutely
question.
correct,
Very
Elder
easy question.
Jesse.
Very easy question. I don't care, Gibbs. How many people in this room have looked at somebody that just looks absolutely ugly and sat there and said, "Yeah, man, you look actually pretty decent"? I just want to know how many people in this room, because everyone in here is acting like
I
a
don't
saint.
do that. I
You
don't
don't.
do
You tell
that.
people. What do you tell them?
I say something.
I mean, that was an interesting choice of outfit,
something
Cotton.
nice
See how it
about
works out
how
for
they
you.
look, or I'll tell them something to improve upon.
Okay, that's what Staxium is
not what
doing
he's
with
doing.
these kids.
It's
That's
redirecting.
not a lie.
Redirecting,
That's not a lie.
re-educating,
And when
redirecting.
somebody asks me
That's what I'm
lying.
saying.
and
That's what I'm
the
saying.
answer will be super uncomfortable, sometimes I'll say, I don't want to talk about it.
That
Yeah,
is
I'm setting
just
back my
communicating
cause
a
by
simple
platforming
fucking
you,
thing.
Staxiums. You realize that? Like, I'm setting back my cause by platforming you. Like,
And
I'm
you're
trying
gonna
to,
do it
I'm
again.
trying to teach these lovely conservative-leaning people in my chat right now, saying that no, Democrats are pretty good people. We won't lie to you. And here you come on my show,
They believe
being
us.
like, yeah, I'll lie to
They're
them if I
lost
think
cause.
I can get what I want.
They believe us.
What are you doing?
Then they tell us we're crazy. Hold on,
and
but
it's working.
No, but then you tell us right after this. So this is what's crazy about this. So my family, everybody in my family like has doctorates. Right? They're all highly educated people, doctorates or masters, all really highly educated people, very smart people. And then y'all would sit here and go, "Well, since y'all are voting for Trump or you're MAGA people, y'all are morons." When I know they're more highly educated than most people.
No.
Hold on. And then
Low-informed
you're gonna
voters,
sit-
is
hold
what
on.
I call
Then
it.
you're gonna sit here and go, "Hey, we're benevolent. We need to educate you on the area ways. There's no
Gibbs,
way
do
we can
you
make
think-
it. We can make a bipartisanship deal with anybody MAGA because y'all are all crazy."
No,
And
hold
we're gonna
on,
sit here and go,
Gibbs.
one, they're lying to us. He admitted they're lying to us. Two, they call us crazy. And three, even if we
I'll
could
take
make a
this.
deal with them,
Give me
we
just a
can't because they're
second.
so disingenuous.
Gibbs.
Here's my problem. If Lactoid were on the panel, I would not be calling him a moron. I think that he's a very educated Republican who votes for Trump. Unfortunately, he's not on the panel, Gibbs. You are.
Yeah, so I want to say this too. I want to say this too because I'm getting really frustrated talking about this idea that like because we say somebody is a low informed voter, that somehow it means they're stupid. That is not what that means. You can have an
Staxiums called them stupid.
They're politically stupid.
Wait.
They're politically stupid.
Okay.
He called them stupid and he called them morons.
Hold on. I want to make sure we're clear here then. Staxiums, do you think that there is a difference between a low-informed voter and that in other words, do you think someone could be a very intelligent person but also be a low-informed voter? Do you think
Absolutely,
those two?
of course.
Okay. So that's exactly what I'm trying to say is that
$20. $20 and I'll let you go, Doghouse, but gotta make my money because I won't lie to you. My money, $20 is more important than what you're about to say. Okay, $20 from Lawson Harrison. If people stop lying, even in or maybe especially in politics, society would tear itself apart. I don't think so. I think that you can tell the truth in diplomatic ways that aren't
I think the lies.
Right?
The lies
never
are
lie.
destroying us.
But go
The
ahead,
lies are
Doghouse. I interrupted you. Go ahead.
No, you're good. Yeah. So all I'm saying is this: is like, look, when we mention low informed voters, you could have someone that's the smartest man in the world, makes the most amount of money, they're great at business, but they can suck at basketball. It doesn't mean that they're a terrible person. You could sit there and say the
But then
same
when they
thing
tell you
about
something about the economy being bad, you're like, well, the jobs report, but you don't know shit, even though they clearly are good at business and have owned several businesses. You're like, nah, you don't know.
That doesn't mean they're an economist.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Makes a lot of
Do you
sense.
think that, wait, Gibbs, do you think there's a difference between
Yeah, it makes a lot of
doctor
sense.
who's a heart surgeon versus a brain surgeon? Do you think there's a difference between those two?
Sure, but I think that if someone
Okay,
owns like
then.
3 or 4
So just
businesses
because
and they're sitting here going, "Hey, I made a lot of money. My employees are suffering. The average person is
Okay,
suffering
exactly. It
from
doesn't mean
inflation."
they're an
They might have an
economist.
economic
It doesn't mean they're an
opinion that
economist.
is accurate. Oh, it doesn't mean they're economists. Listen, it means they're an economic expert, though.
Gibbs,
It's
what you're
cold
doing right now,
outside.
Gibbs,
What's
what you're
going on with
doing,
global warming?
Gibbs, right now, what you're doing is reflecting why we think that people like you are politically dumb. You're using an anecdote.
Sure.
You're using an anecdote.
Because you're proving
He's
me right.
being honest.
You're proving me
Cluck,
right.
I
At least you
applaud your
realize
audience
what's
honesty.
funny, though,
Go
is
ahead.
my audience would also argue that I've been proving exactly what I've been saying, which is what I came here to do. He's a liar. Them's are liars. You're sitting here saying that we're all dumb. Whenever I sit here, I give you examples. No, hold on. I give you examples of the border. You said we were wrong on the border.
You can give an example of it. You can give an example of an illegal immigrant
You're literally
running
going,
down your
hey,
internet.
hold on.
Yes,
You're
yes, you
literally
can give
going,
an
hey,
example.
hold on.
But
You're literally going, hey, this
anecdotes.
guy's right, but he's a
You're using
moron.
anecdotes.
Even though he's
You're
right.
using- Gibbs,
Earlier, Stacks
you're using-
literally made the argument. The guy
you're
wasn't right
using
because he was right.
anecdotes.
He was right because he was a moron.
Gibbs,
That
you're
was
using
your argument.
anecdotes.
That was so
Gibbs,
stupid.
Stories.
Gibbs, you're
Gibbs, we
using
all have
anecdotes.
stories.
Wait, hold on.
Yeah, you're missing the point here.
Shush.
You
Let
literally
me
said
argue
this
with
guy's
Gibbs.
right, but he's a moron because he's
No,
right.
no. I didn't say you were right.
so
Hold on.
argument.
I never said you were right.
No one said
I
you're
said
right.
you're using anecdotes.
I mean, it's clear I am right on these issues, and that's
Okay,
it's
but
really
wait, Gibbs,
sad.
can I ask you something? Gibbs,
Stories.
Gibbs, do you think that with Donald Trump having been a convicted felon that he knows how to commit crime?
First of all, that was a lawfare. Second of all,
That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
I would argue that, yeah, as any kind of multi-billionaire, they're probably very well versed with how to do tax codes. I wouldn't call it a crime, but that's why Donald Trump came out in 2016 and said, hey, guess what? I know what they're doing in the House is because Hillary Clinton and the Dems did this and made it this way, and I'm definitely
Okay, I need to ask the panel. I need to ask the panel and to chat, and I'm dead serious about this. What are the ethics of me clipping Mr. Staxiums here about his lying comment?
Do it.
It would hurt me politically, but it's such good content.
You're calling it out.
It was such good content.
You're calling it out. You're like, hey, I call out liars. That's why you turn up to WIC, and that's why you can still vote out Democrats. That's why you can still trust Democrats because we'll call each other out.
Well, hold on. I think
when Republicans won't.
I think it's unethical only because when you listen to his examples, he's not actually lying.
He absolutely is lying.
Exactly what. No, because we are being so I'm using the term lying very liberally. Okay.
No.
Yeah,
You're
clearly.
using
I
the
would
term
agree.
lying to call you a
I would agree
liar.
with that.
Could you explain how you fucking
Yeah,
lie?
look at the little lie.
This is the craziest shit I've ever heard. You literally broke down how and why you lied. Like, but I wasn't lying, right? Yes.
No, it's hold on.
You are fucking insane. You're about to explain how what you said isn't what you said.
No, on a binary level, if truth or lie, if you have to clump it into one of those corners, yeah, I said yes. Technically, what I'm doing is this.
That's just what it is.
I don't even agree with that.
You're padding it with all these terms.
There's no spectrums that possibly exist when it comes to telling truths and telling stories and having conversations. It's just, did you tell the truth? Did you every time you fucking tell us you have to
and then there's unknown.
It's a tree on the top on the southwest corner and there was the sun in this corner because otherwise that it's a fucking lie because it's a lie by omission. Is that what you're saying? There's no spectrum in this.
Yeah, you're lying by omission. Yes, you are not giving all the information on purpose. So you're reframing something on purpose by including true elements in order to mislead somebody.
I'm not trying to mislead anyone. In fact, I'm trying to lead them. No, that is
scary. That's the scary part. You're trying to lead them to your conclusion by lying to them. You're educating them with a conversation to your conclusion because they know your conclusion can't be supported by.
I'm not trying to mislead them.
That's what you're doing.
I am trying to establish
You're trying to lead them down the path of hell, maybe. Like,
look, I tried to say this.
Empathy. This is why conservatives they just fucking they rail against the ability to have empathy because it's like, why the hell would I listen to you? You're just trying to guide me into how you feel.
Can I ask a
You're
question?
not
Can I ask a
conservative, right?
question?
This is not a bash. This is actually like
No, hold
maybe
on.
it's, you sound like some of the best gaslighters I've ever known when it came. Like they were big old gaslighters, they were very good at like gaslight women. They would literally do something to a woman and then they would turn right around and be like, "No, I didn't." That's what you're doing right here. You're gaslighting these kids. You're gaslighting people and they're voting for like.
I'm gonna give it to Clark. I'm gonna give it to Clark. Clark, go ahead.
I got a question.
Using the term gaslighting.
I got a question
Give it to-
specifically
I'm
for
giving it
Wick.
to
I got a
Clark.
question specifically for Wick.
Go ahead.
If you were to DM me and
I'm
you were
usually
like,
gaslighting.
if you were to DM me and you were like, "Yo, well, Cluck, why do you always want to come on my panels?" And I'm like, "Cause I have fun on your panels." But like, also, I'm trying to snipe conservatives to talk to. Gibbs, check your DMs. Am I lying because I didn't say that part?
If you actually have fun on my panels, and that's one of the reasons you come, and that's the main reason you come.
Well, that's
then
exactly what. Wait,
if it's not the main reason, then no.
If
Well,
yes, if
we
the
wouldn't
main
know you were
reason,
lying
if
if you didn't
90% of the reason you come is to snipe conservatives to talk to on my panels, and only 10%, then yes, that's kind of lying.
what if it's like 50-50 or 45-50?
Then you're fine. You're fine. I think, but
Okay.
if like, so for example, if I'm trying to woo a woman, okay, there's a woman out there that I'm like, hey, I want to dip my wick a little bit, okay, you know
I
what
have
I'm
an
saying?
example.
Okay, and
This
I'm like,
got
okay.
creepy in a hurry.
Gross,
Yeah.
Wick.
Yes, you're welcome. But and she's like, so why are you talking to me? And 90% of the reason is because I think they're sexy and I want to have sex with them. Okay, and 10% of the reason is because I like the joke they once said. If she asks me why are you talking to me, and I answer because I like a joke you once said, that's kind of a lie.
Okay, wait,
Because
can I counter
90% of the reason is because I'm trying to bang her. Right?
Wait,
But before you counter that, I want to ask you something, Stackium. Can I ask you something real quick?
Wait,
I'll allow it.
What is the percentage for your Grammy and for everything else? What was it for that?
Oh, well, hold on. You're gonna disagree. You're gonna hate this.
Okay, never mind. Fuck you, Stackium. I'm
No,
with you on
Staxius, I want to hear. Go ahead.
Disavow
Wait.
everything.
I like biting bullets, so fuck off. Here's an example I'm gonna use. Okay, I already said I worked in a treatment center. Okay, all of these kids go. You're only here because of your paycheck, and I go fuck you. No, I'm not. Okay, because I had a job in IT. Okay, I had a job in IT, and I got paid 3 times as much as I do here. But I fucking hated working in IT. I felt like I didn't matter in the world. I didn't care about it at all. And I found a different job that I would care about more. Now, that is true. But here's something that I kind of couched. Would I show up if I didn't get paid? No. No, I wouldn't. So did I lie to those kids when I told that story? You see what I'm saying? Like, I don't think.
You know
I
what
don't
you
think
should tell
that's
those
fair.
kids? Because there's an answer to this where you don't have to lie, right? They say
Where I say
the only reason you come here because you don't have a
haven't
paycheck.
fucking-
You say, yeah, if I didn't get paid, I wouldn't come, but I also care about you and X, Y, Z, ABC. If you believe that, right?
No, it's like I agree that if I were talking to even a slightly mentally competent 16-year-old or above, 100%. These are 13-year-olds.
That's what you frame them for Republicans too.
And cut themselves every night. They need a little bit of
Wait,
But you framed that for the Republicans too. Yeah, you literally hold on. You literally didn't give the Republicans credit enough. You're like, oh, like I know that Doghouse is kind of talking about low.
Yeah, you just told everyone that you think that 13-year-olds can't handle the truth, so you lie to them, and this is how
so
you
you're
do
doing
it.
the same thing with adults, though. You literally just said you do the same thing with adults. You say we have to educate them or like lie to them in order to come to your conclusion. And these are adults who some of them probably have degrees, highly educated individuals, are capable of understanding these concepts. But instead, you choose to lie to them in order to like gaslight them to your point of view.
You know what? You're right.
Another
MAGA are fucking idiots. There you go. That's the truth. All right, I didn't lie. I'm not afraid to look her up. No, look. Can I explain something here that I think is really silly to me? Wick, what do you do in this situation? Okay, you have somebody who just ended up Minecrafting 2 people. Runs up to the tallest building in the city, goes to the ledge, and the cop is sitting there looking at him. And he starts crying. He goes, "Hey, I totally just did this crime and this crime and this crime, and I just Minecraft 2 people. I'm done." What do you say? Do you sit there and go, "Yeah, you know what? Yeah, you did," and yeah, you're probably gonna just go off? What do you do in that situation?
That's a good question.
You don't think it's ethical at all to lie? Do you think it's ethical at all to say,
Why would
hey,
you have to
it's okay,
lie?
you're
Yeah,
gonna
you
be
wouldn't.
okay.
I wouldn't lie to that person because
You don't have to lie.
I wouldn't
Shut
lie
the
to that
fuck
person
up.
at all.
God damn it! I swear to God, you're like,
You can
oh
just
well. What I would do is
take
I would
him
just
out.
do it. I would just do it in a nice way. I would say, yeah, it was really fucked that you did it, and you're gonna go to jail for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
But I would say it nicely.
And it's better than
No!
dying.
Or we can just drone strike him.
I swear
You
he
don't
would
even have to
fucking
say
jump off of the
that.
building.
Say.
It's like anyone who has ever actually existed in these spaces knows that it's a little bit more complicated than the way that you guys are portraying it.
It's called
Oh,
I
why
wouldn't
would
say
you
what Vic
de-escalate
said,
that?
but
Let's
there's
just-
certainly ways you can talk to somebody in that position without lying to them. And in fact, I would be so much more worried that if I did lie to them and
I
then they
think
killed
are
themselves,
things gonna be
then
okay?
now it's on
Things gonna be
me.
okay? What if he asks you that? Are things gonna be okay? Am I gonna be okay?
You say, no, Papa, I don't want to have
Things
to pay my
are
tax
not going
dollars
to
into
be
this.
okay if you jump off this building. Come down.
That's a
and
lie
jump
of
off.
omission. That's a lie of omission. He asked, "Are things okay?" And you redirected from the question. He asked a question? Are
I'm
things gonna
not
be okay?
answering that question.
Oh,
I am choosing to not answer that question.
He jumps. He jumps.
Good,
I'm
save
telling
the
you, he
tax dollars.
jumps. I'm telling you, he fucking jumps. And
That sounds like a
if you
solution.
really think that this is the proper way to handle society, that sometimes you have to make assessments on who
You're trying to
is
save a double murderer?
You are
capable.
working so fucking hard to justify just lying when you want to. It's insane. You are.
Wait, do you think that? Wait,
General
okay, wait. This goes back to the. Let's start with the
bipartisanship.
fundamental. Do you think there is
Vote
ever,
Republican.
ever?
They're gonna
Because
lie to
I
you.
want to make sure, because this is where I feel like we're going right now. Is that we're going in circles? Do you think there is ever a good reason to lie?
I told you
Ever.
there's
Yes.
a couple places where I would lie, and I gave you a couple examples. One, if, for example,
Anne Frank.
the Nazis came to my house and I had Anne Frank in the attic, right? Do you have
Well,
Anne Frank in the attic?
fucking
No,
Jews.
I would lie to them, right? But the reason I
But
have
why
a
not lie to the person
general
that's on the
rule
roof?
that I stick to
How are these
98%
two
of the
different?
time.
One is objectively far worse, right?
Hold on. Say one more time.
Why would you? You're saying that you
Me
would do
lying
it if
to
some-
Nazis is better than me lying to try to.
Hey, watch. He's about to call the MAGA Nazis now.
Hold on.
Just wait.
Hold on. No. I'm just trying to. Okay, explain to me. Which one do you think is worse?
I think okay, I might have used the wrong terminology there to be fair. But
Yeah.
I think they're on the same level because I think the idea that you're trying to do is you're trying to lie to those people to prevent Anne Frank from being taken. And then what the logical conclusion of that is what? Because she would then end up being gone. And so if you look
Killed,
at the
yes.
same logical conclusion at the top of the roof, you would sit there and say that you don't want that person to jump. And so you sit there and you tell them a lie to prevent them from their ultimate demise. And so I think these two are on the exact same level because they have
No,
the same
the
logical
difference
conclusion.
here is in one case, one person is making a choice for themselves and their own agency, and in the other choice, someone is trying to enforce their will on another person. It is
No, it's
someone
what
that's
makes
trying
the world
to
a
do
better
something.
place. Sorry to be so utilitarian brain pilled.
Oh,
It's
what makes it a
just
better place?
what keeps the fewest people from dying.
Is there an aspect
No.
that
And
But
sometimes
we
it-
can't
sometimes
even
the
agree on what
answer-
is a better place. And you're sitting here like willing to like, we're gonna mold this people. We're
Of
gonna
course.
lie to the kids and we're gonna take them down this pathway. This is what conservatives and MAGA people have been accusing y'all of, and you're outright openly admitting it, and then we all are going, oh, they're insane. It's crazy.
Of
It's
course.
crazy, bro.
course.
You know who's crazy? It's y'all. Because y'all are sitting there going, hey, we're not doing that, and then turn right around. Y'all are insane for
MAGA
thinking
has
that.
no room
and
to
then you're
talk
doing
about
it.
lies. Flat out. I
Is-
don't care.
is
I
there
don't
an
care if
aspect
MAGA
of
talk
this-
about lies. They have no room.
Can I ask
Anyways.
Wick a question?
I'll allow
Just
it.
for the sake of our own transparency.
And we
us
are
people
running
with
to the end,
principles
by the
here,
way. But go ahead.
I think the other appropriate example to lie is, let's say you accidentally flashed an address on the screen and somebody said, oh, hey, is that Admiral Gibbs' address? And you did, in fact, do that. It is your responsibility to say, no, that was not.
Yeah, like
It is.
Yeah, that's definitely something where I
Why
could be
would
saying,
you
okay,
lie
we
to
could
that?
lie in
Why?
this
I
case.
want to know the why. Why would you lie about that?
to
What's the
protect
reason?
them?
Protect them from
It
what?
is a
Other
noble
people.
law.
Harm.
I'm doing. What the fuck do you think I'm trying to stop a kid from cutting himself?
There it is.
No,
That's what I'm trying to say.
Do you not understand the difference between protecting someone from someone else and protecting someone from themselves?
That doesn't.
No,
I don't,
that's
I don't,
irrelevant.
I don't,
No, it's not.
I
just
don't believe
gave-
in the distinction. I don't know if I believe in the
In
distinction.
the example that I just gave, you are forced
You
to
got
lie
it. No,
morally.
he said it. He said
In the
it.
example I gave that Wick
What?
agrees with that you should lie, I have to lie to protect Admiral Gibbs from my mistake. I don't want to lie. I find it abhorrent. Now I have to do something I don't want to do, which is to lie to protect him from my actions. He did not fuck up and dox himself. I fucked up and doxed him. So now I have to lie to protect him.
Okay, gang, it is 8 o'clock, a little past 8 o'clock. We have exceeded the time allotted. I love you all. This has been a panel. Okay, the panel.
That was lying by omission. He didn't want to answer that question.
Panel. It's been a panel. So, gang, if you've enjoyed this show, or if you enjoy my shows in general, can you hit that like button and you hit that subscribe button? Bipartisanship was the topic today. Well, here we are. Gang, I'm going to give all these individuals a chance to shout themselves out, to tell you their closing thoughts on everything we've talked about today. So please, when they do, click. I have all the links in my description on my YouTube. Click their links, give them a follow, things like that. If you enjoy my show, you want to see me do more shows, donate. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Throw me gift subs on YouTube or on Twitch. Throw me gift memberships on YouTube. Super chat on YouTube. All these things help me out and really help me going. Gang, we got some great stuff coming up. Next week, we're going to talk about the draft. When is that ethical, if ever? Should we remove the selective service? Should we allow women, or should we enforce women to be also in the selective service? We are going to talk about that. It's going to be fun. And I'm probably have a few more topics that we'll talk about next week. We'll see what comes up, right?
Can I suggest the crazy shit that Trump's
I go first? I have
You
to go
can't,
somewhere
but let's give it to Admiral Gibbs, and we'll end with principles. Admiral
Fantastic.
Gibbs,
Thank you.
closing thoughts.
Thank
Go
you.
ahead.
Yeah, if you liked everything I've had to say, you can find me as Admiral Gibbs. Closing thoughts. I can't wait to go back through this and clip a lot of stuff. Staxiums, you're a champ.
Just tag me in it.
I will. I definitely will. It might be a while because I'm.
That's the way to ethically do it. You have to tag me in it.
Absolutely. Don't worry. I'll find you. We'll get it done. But secondly, yeah, if you like my content, we do politics a lot. We do a lot of debating. Democrats are liars. Also tonight, we're gonna do something special in about an hour and a half. We'll be on Modi 201's channel doing an IRL stream. If you want to see what Gibbs is out like in the wild. It's gonna be pretty entertaining, I think. So check it out. Anyway, thanks for having me, Wick. Always really fun. Sad about tech issues yesterday because we're gonna give us out some whoopings. But thanks for having me today. Appreciate it.
No problem. Have a great day, man. Drazi, please.
And he's gone.
So in the spirit of how this all went, I would like to give another reframing of why I think bipartisanship is good. If I'm in an insane asylum and I need to get out, I think that working with the people that think that mice are stealing parts of their brains, I'm going to try to help them find the parts of their brains if they agree to help me escape the insane asylum. I think it does not matter what the other people on the other side think, that working together is always going to be better than trying to do something that would be impossible to accomplish on your own. My name is Elder Drazi on Twitch, YouTube, on Twitter, X, all of it, Steam. And I just want to say I had a good time. Today's my birthday. And
Happy birthday.
If you are wondering, I wear a size Silent Hill Remake 2.
Okay. Thanks for coming and happy birthday. Give him some love over there, okay? Liberal Cluck, go ahead.
Yeah, I think you guys played real fast and loose with the word lying. I just wish that Staxios was like, yeah, I fucked up when I said lying. I actually meant this. They would have ended that conversation a long time ago. I don't think what you were describing was lying. I think that you were meeting people where they were. Also, fun fact: when you're taught how to deal with schizophrenic people, you're taught not to go against their delusions. So yeah, so that is that lying. Anyways, bipartisanship. I think it's important. I think that we have a real opportunity to shut out the fringe of the Republican Party if we work bipartisanly with the rhinos. And I think that it is also important to make everyone feel like they're represented. Otherwise, you get uprisings like January 6th. Although, with that being said, I don't think we should be working with like Nazis and shit. So there are probably people out there that we shouldn't be making feel represented in the government. It's a balancing act, and where we all fall is going to be different, and that's just where I am.
Well, thank you for being here. His links in my description. Go check.
I'm
him
here
out.
because I have a good time,
And-
and I also want to snipe conservatives. Have a
Fair
good
enough.
night.
Fair enough. Thank you for being here. I appreciate it. Staxiums, please.
Oh, everyone's just dipping. All right.
I guess that's what we're doing.
I forgot what this panel was about. It's about ethically lying, right? If you want to have that panel topic, I would love to
I
come back and
might,
defend.
but for now, go ahead with your
Yeah,
closing.
and yeah, so I'm Staxiums everywhere. If everyone wants to clip everything that I said, feel free to. Just know that you have to include the entire stream. Otherwise, those are lies of omission.
Okay,
True.
Give him a follow. Give him a you know, all those things. Show him love. Thank you for coming. Doghouse Show, please.
Absolutely. I am the Doghouse Show. I am getting back into streaming and doing all that. So you can find me on the Doghouse Show on Twitter. I am absolutely doing an amazing job on there, trying to get my name out there. It's amazing. And you can find me anywhere else. And again, Staxium did not lie. I just want to make that clear. But I want to say on bipartisanship. The last thing I want to say on bipartisanship is I don't think that we should be having bipartisan efforts with the MAGA party. I think that they are refused to give any concessions. Time and time again, the Republicans refuse. I think there are reasonable Republicans that we should absolutely work with. But the ones that are MAGA, they can go kick rocks. I don't care about them whatsoever. They don't care about liberals. They don't care about even reasonable Republicans. They don't even care unless you bow down and kiss the feet of Donald Trump. So I could care less about their opinion or their lies, and we can move on from there. But that's what I think. I think the conversation happens between reasonable Republicans and then Democrats. MAGA can go kick rocks. I don't care.
Okay, check him out, gang. Links in my description. Give him a follow. Last but certainly not least, principles before politics. Go ahead.
Gee, wow. The bipartisanship part of the panel was really cool. All 15 minutes of it. I think when we say the term bipartisanship, what we're really talking about is coalition building. I think the idea that there is not a single person in all of MAGA that you could find who would be willing to work with you on something meaningful, where, you know, to the perspective of kick rocks, yeah, like the rest of MAGA can kick rocks if they're not on board. And I think we can all, the folks who are left on the panel, can probably agree that if they did so, you know, that they would probably not have a particularly warm, fuzzy reception with the rest of MAGA. The key is getting things done. It's identifying folks that you can work with who are reasonable on the issues that you're trying to move people on. Whether that's this particular segment of the... I'm looking at Wick moving his mouth. What the hell is going on?
Sorry, someone's singing "You Can Go Your Own Way" in chat, and I was singing along. Sorry, go ahead. Sorry, please forgive me. Go ahead.
No, let me wrap it here. This has been a chaotic ass panel. I'm regretting every minute since that I tried to work with Staxiums on that. Because
so bipartisanship on Staxiums was a no go. Was a failed.
I disavow everything that was said after about minute 20.
Okay.
You don't mean that.
Pieces, man. No. I think that whole thing is something separate, and, you know, have fun with your clip show on that. I'm just grateful I was mostly silent for all of that. I'm not shouting myself out. If you want to follow me after this shit show, you go down to the description panel and find it there.
Okay. No, thank you for being here. I really appreciate it. Sorry it went crazy, but here we are. Gang, I don't know if I'm going to stream tomorrow or not. I might talk about the Israel stuff more. We'll see what happens. Maybe a call-in show, a proper call-in show. I haven't done one of those in a while. But yeah, check me out and we'll see what we do. Gang, if you're enjoying this content, remember, like, subscribe. We're going to raid out into Nina. So make sure you give Nina a like, a follow, all that. And let her know that this is a hate raid. So I'll see you guys, and I'll see you guys maybe tomorrow, maybe Monday. We'll see. Bye.
Bye.